control, shoveling dirt in every hole. Predators to condemn your soul, watching you and watching me. We're all connected but separated, misunderstood and so frustrated. A million armies of one have invaded, watching you and watching me. We live behind glass curtains and act like nothing's wrong. Soon you will belong. I know you're out there somewhere. We've watched you for so long. Wait for you to fall. We'll expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. The little brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized. Everyone's got an electric eye with the digital spies. They've watched you for so long. I know you're out there somewhere watching have taken over. We the people are little brother, standing by to dethrone each other, watching you and watching me. Paranoid, the lens is our weapon, desensitized in our lust for attention, democratized by our voyeur obsessions, watching you and watching me. Slaves to perfection, don't let them project you as you are. Reveal your every flaw. I know you're out there somewhere. We've watched you for so long. Wait for you to fall. We'll expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. Little brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized. Everyone's got an electric eye with the digital spies. They've watched you for so long. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. Stay in line, don't make a mistake. We're watching. We watched you for so long. We wait for you to fall. We will expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of this broadcast or podcast without the express written consent of Spaced Out Radio or Spaced Out Radio Limited is strictly prohibited. Listener discretion is advised.
Bumblefoot. Bumblefoot.
Are you experienced?
Stop right there!
From high atop the mountains of British Columbia to you, listening around the world, this is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. You can follow us on our website, spacedoutradio.com, on iTunes and TuneIn. Follow Dave on Twitter at spacedoutradio.com, on Facebook at Spaced Out Radio Show, or on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Game on! Game on! Game on!
Dave, oh Dave, are you playing with Bigfoot and aliens again?
The password is...
Alright.
Okay, seriously, what's with the pointies?
Buckle up, space travelers. It's time to go for a ride on Spaced Out Radio. Mr. Bumblefoot, Dave is ready for liftoff.
Seriously, Dave? Really?
Chloe. Bye-bye. Love you. Bye-bye.
Captain, take your seat on my left. It's time for takeoff.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 2, 1, boost ignition, and liftoff.
Just to be there with you, and I still trip over my feet, and my heart still skips a beat. I'm such a lucky guy, 'cause after all this time, it's like the deeper I go, the deeper I fall. The deeper I go, the deeper I fall.
Good evening and welcome to Space Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, and it's good to have you along for the ride wherever you are in this wonderful and beautiful planet we like to call Earth. We welcome you to tonight's show as we are live right here, right now in Uncle Jimbo's cabin, right here in the Great White North on this Wednesday night, early Thursday morning if you're on the East Coast. Let's welcome in everyone listening in on spacedoutradio.com, on Spreaker, on the United Public Radio Network, Renegade Talk Radio, the High Plains Talk Radio Network, and on Revolution Radio as we do this thing every night of the week, rocking in and out of every single show thanks to our resident guitar god, Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL, formerly of Guns N' Roses, currently of Art of Anarchy. Yes, Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio. If you're a social media junkie like I am, you can follow me on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. You can follow us on Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. Find us on TuneIn. Download this show and others on iTunes. And of course, our website is spacedoutradio.com. Now, if you want to take part in this show, you got to be in one of the chat rooms, because that's where all the fun is happening. You can go on Revolution Radio, on Spreaker, on the UPRN chat room, and on Facebook at the SOR Space Travelers Club. Or if you're on Twitter, do me a favor. use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio. I will get to your questions and comments in there live as well. You're right in front of me, Twitterverse. If you haven't signed up for the SOR Space Travelers Club yet, please do so. It's $5 a month. With that, your name gets entered into monthly prize draws. You get access to private group interviews, access to a special posting section on our website, and much more. Hey, we're going to give you a hell of a lot more than just access to our archives. While at our website, read up on our latest blog. We're just about to revamp the SOR Space Wire for your latest weird news with Eric Markham. And if you've had a sighting that you can't explain, fill out an SOR Sightlines report. Our researcher Mike Schmidt is ready for you. We want to welcome in everyone listening in live in Las Vegas on Renegade Talk Radio. We are the nighttime show of Sin City. We are also live on the United Public Radio Network on 107.7 FM in New Orleans and over 160 countries around the world. Good to have you with us. And remember, if you're listening in on the Double R machine, Revolution Radio is a donation station financed by you, the valued listener. Head on over to freedomslips.com and donate today. Eric Cooper is a familiar voice around Spaced Out Radio, often hosting in the third hour with me, Everett Thiemer, and Eric Markham. But Coop has his hands in what I think is probably one of the best stories going in the paranormal. Forest Moon Paranormal, based out of Concrete, Washington, isn't your average investigative team. No. They don't go out and investigate cemeteries or run down abandoned buildings. No, they don't play what we like to call around these parts Pokemon Ghost. Their job is to clean up haunted messes and help with emergency paranormal situations. Now, the paranormal is a blanket word, and those emergency situations could be ghostly, aliens, even cryptids like Bigfoot. The haunted messes left by the other so-called paranormal teams, well, that's a whole different subject we're going to get into tonight as well. There are plenty of teams out there who are investigating really for their own thrill. Sometimes they don't know how to handle that thrill properly when they've upset a spirit in someone's house or place of work. They bail on their clients. It gives the paranormal another black eye of many who are in this field. Once again, Eric Cooper is joined by two members of his Forest Moon team, Tony Loki and Bonnie Smith, who help these situations by remote viewing and astral traveling. If you don't understand what they do, like me, no worries, because all three of them are here to break it all down tonight. Eric Cooper, Bonnie, Tony, welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. How are you?
Hey,
we're great. How are you doing? Thank you.
Wonderful. I'm glad all of you could make it. I'm really glad all of you can make it because, you know what, we hear, Eric, so many different stories of the paranormal, from those who are helping spirits cross over to those who are literally there for the thrill of the haunt and the hunt. Yet, a lot of people don't seem to understand, Coop, what we actually do to the spirits on the other side when we are not taking care of their needs as well. So, could you please go into a little bit of breakdown why you started Forest Moon Paranormal and why it's so important that you guys are basically in a paranormal emergency team?
Okay. So, Forest Moon, as a name, started in Iraq. In 2004, and we dealt with paranormal issues. Not being okay. Just to break it down, we're pagan. At the core, Forest Moon is pagan, and I mean we have diverse religions in the group. But just to explain, being pagan, we deal with the paranormal as a normal deal. It's normal to us. Spirits, that's part of our belief. All of it's part of our belief. So when you hear a non-pagan talking about, oh my God, this is going on, that's going on, well, we deal with it on a normal basis. So, being in Iraq and running a pagan group, the stuff we dealt with was normal to us, but, not normal to the other ones. And so it was a pagan spiritual group at that time. Forest Moon Paranormal, I kind of branched off into in 2006. Even though we were doing it, before that. So I was in the Army still. I got out in 2010. And so officially, as a group, we kind of started forming in 2010. Online, I mean, God, we had 1,000 to 2,000 members online alone. We started the Astral team in 2012. Tony is actually one of my original Astral team members. I can't astral. I just can't, and I don't. That's why I've got an astral team that handles it. So Tony was one of my original members. He was actually, correct me if I'm wrong, Tony, you were actually one of the original, or originally we supported you as a soldier, as civilians at that time, with Forest Moon Grove, did we not?
Yeah, I got some help from you actually while I was deployed over in Iraq to Balad.
Right. Okay, yeah. So that's actually how we met Tony. Now, a part of many pagans is astral travel to begin with. So, we were discussing it one day, and it was like, we could actually deal with, let's experiment here. We could actually potentially astral travel and deal with paranormal issues from the astral level. And he took a couple of his buddies, and they tried it, and it worked. Now, and I'm not getting into the astral. That's what Tony and Bonnie are here for. But basically, for them to be able to handle it from the astral, it takes the distance away, which is why we actually handle global issues. And from the astral, they can see, identify, and communicate with whatever is going on paranormal-wise. So, real quick, as the case manager, what a typical case goes as, they'll take a case occasionally on their own, but to keep confusion down, I pretty much guide the cases to them. And like Dave likes when I do a promo, I was a combat medic. And in combat medic, we do triage. So basically, I take the same triage concept with a paranormal. I kind of look at the signs and symptoms. And, okay, if it kind of shows abduction, alien abduction, or any kind of UFO, that's my specialty. So I handle that. If it has anything to do with an entity, a spirit, or any kind of a haunting situation, we have on Facebook, because all of our clientele, our platform isn't a website. Websites to me are kind of pointless. Facebook is real world. It's here now. I can talk to someone, right now. So basically, an admin from another paranormal group on Facebook will see someone that's struggling and needs help. They'll contact me. I will assess it. I will see what the situation is. And we have an astral chat. Only the astral team members are in that chat room. A private message chat type deal. And I'll immediately go straight to that chat. I'll do a cut and paste of kind of a description of what's going on. They'll do a contact with the client, and it goes from there. If it's cryptid, it goes to Tyler Allen Standingberry, who is our cryptid specialist. So Forest Moon Paranormal, in a nutshell, is we cover everything. And like Dave said in the beginning, we're a crisis team. We don't go to hot spots. We will occasionally go to a hot spot to train new members on equipment, on that kind of stuff. But for the most part, no. We have no business or no use with hotspots. And on that note, Tony, take it away.
Well, the first thing I'd like to point out is, I didn't know if Eric mentioned it or not, everything we do is 100% free, and 100% confidential, which gives a lot of the clients peace of mind. And like Eric said, usually we're called in after all other resources have been exhausted and the client's lost all hope. They contact us pretty much thinking nothing can be done, and they're usually pretty satisfied with what we can do. Bonnie, you want to add anything?
Yeah, the clients, I see a lot of good things happening, and I've only been on the team 6 months. But, we continue talking to them after we've been there and work with them and, work everything out in case anything, tries to return, there's problems. And I've seen this happen a lot of people. It's a great thing to be doing. I'm enjoying it.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that attracted me to your group right at first, Eric, when I first found out about it, 10 months ago. Hard to believe that's flying by. That's flying by. Is it mandatory for all men to have a good beard?
It is. It is. All men must have a good beard. I will make exceptions because I know Corey doesn't have a good beard. But it's okay. I won't hold it against him. He's actually part of our QRT team.
Mm-hmm.
And on that note too, the QRT is actually a new concept I'm coming up with, and we're actually did our first training last weekend. And I am going to have a devoted QRT astral team as well. And basically how that's going to work real quick. As soon as I get an emergency contact phone call, before I even activate the QRT physical team, I will notify Tony or Jamie. Jamie Boatman is our other QRT. And because we had this discussion over the code of conduct on last Saturday, in that, we don't know what we're rolling into. There's a lot of dangers to the paranormal that aren't necessarily all spirit and entity. You don't know what the mindset of your client is. You don't know if they're a psychiatric condition. You don't know if you're walking into a domestic dispute. You don't know what kind of stuff you're walking into. So basically, if our astral team, if Tony rolls in, flies in, and I like saying that, flies in, it's kind of cool. But if Tony flies in and he doesn't see anything paranormal going on, he's going to call me before we roll in. And I'm going to be talking to that client and get a little more information. Because, again, if they don't see anything paranormal, well, there's something else going on.
Mm-hmm. The importance, Tony, of having a paranormal emergency team seems like such a good idea because there are so many different paranormal groups out there. There's over 36,000 in the United States alone. And if you think if every team has an average of 5 to 7 members, we're looking in the hundreds of thousands of people who are taking part in paranormal ghost hunting, if we can call it that, or ufology or whatever.
Yeah.
Because there is no education for what goes on with the paranormal, how important is it for teams like yourself, and there are very few of them, to actually be on alert in case something traumatic is happening to a client?
Well, it's actually pretty important. All my members I can reach either phone or email. If I can't go email, I can reach them, give them a quick call, and we can get them all dispatched. Depending on the case, say if it's children are involved, we'll have someone there within an hour. So, I mean, it's pretty important. I have actually 2 teams. They have 4 members each. For now and then, if I hold, say, Jamie or Richard, the team leaders, I may pull, say, Bonnie and go, hey, Bonnie, you're going in there with me. Me and her will go in and deal with the issue.
So, Bonnie, when you decided that you wanted to join Forest Moon, and you've only been there about half a year,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
What made you want to do this? What made you want to take on these tough cases where, say, a paranormal team goes into a well-known haunted tavern, stirs up the spirits, and now there's poltergeist activity happening around there. People are starting to get uncomfortable. Clients are starting to stay away. Or, I'm using that as a paraphrasing type example, but what made you want to get involved with helping those type of cases rather than, taking your own abilities and your EMF meter and running to the local cemetery to see if you could meet up with Aunt Beatrice or Uncle Carl?
I've done that. But what really, really drove me to it is they helped me. They took my case, they helped me, and then they've been helping me ever since. And then I started training and realized I had this ability. I kind of knew I did, but I didn't like doing it very much because I didn't have the proper training, the safety measures and things that I have now. So I was real hesitant. I think I joined the last day I could before the class, but I had a lot going on with surgeries and stuff this year too. But, yeah, that's why, because I was an experiencer, and I want to help other people because I've been experiencing since 8 years old and trying to block it and really just starting to grasp it around 2003 as a medium and starting to give some messages. So, this is my way to give back of how people have given to me, I love the work. It's crazy. You have to be maybe a little bit half crazy to do it. But no, it's really well organized, and what the training is amazing. I feel safe. You know, they look out for me. I'm a beginner. You know, there's a class that graduated since mine, but still I'm a beginner compared to the people I work with that are so amazingly talented at this. So I don't feel any fear when I'm with them. I used to, about a year ago almost, I was on the phone with Eric. Am I going to survive this? So it's come a long way since then. Now I'm one of his warriors, so.
Well, it is a difficult task to do. It is something that is, not out of the ordinary. And Eric, I bring you back in here for the time being because when you discovered that there was a calling for emergency paranormal teams, how did you come to that conclusion that this was something was needed? Did you get frustrated by the point of having to set this up, or how did you do it?
Well, like I said, as Tony and I had this big discussion about that. What frustrated me was finding actual non-Pokemon ghost groups out there. I've got, because again, before we started the Astral, we still had 2,000 to 3,000 international people in the group. And I get people approach me and, I'm in Texas. Well, I'm not in Texas. I can't find a group in Texas that I know can do the job. And, I've got this person in North Carolina. I've got this person in Ireland. I've got these people needing help. And what do? Yeah, I did get frustrated. And that's why I asked Tony, is there any way, since distance is an issue, helping these people, is there any way that we can figure out how to do it? And Astral, Now, let me explain real quick, too. Remote viewing is a CIA term that they used in the 60s, 70s, and remote viewers only observe. The difference between the remote viewing program and what we do, we don't observe. We pass over spirits, and we force spirits over, and we force entities out. We are physical. We're not just observers. We might do a scout mission to see how bad a situation is before we bring an entire team in. Because for the most part, Tony and Jamie and Richard are the three that can actually go in by themselves and take care of stuff. If it's using a battlefield, for example, if there's someone's living on an old battlefield site, it generally takes the entire team to help resolve that situation, like in the South. But that's where we went with that. It was because, I got frustrated because, back in 2010, 11, when we were starting to get people approaching us about, I need help, I'm sorry, I don't have the gas or the means to come all the way to California to help you with your situation. And Astral was the easiest way too. There are actually, there's Forest Moon, and there's one other group that I know Astrals, and then I know the Church of All Worlds out of California has another paranormal group as well, and I think they Astral as well. So to my knowledge, there's only 3 of us team-wise that do Astral. And we are going to do one more class. I'll let Tony take that later on. But we are doing one more Astral class. So we would like to get one more team going.
We are going to get a lot more into the whole astral traveling and remote viewing later on in the show because in the end we do have 3 hours to go through. I'm very curious, especially since the last time you were on, Coop, to explain to our plethora of listeners just exactly why this was needed. Why did we need to go into an emergency state, whether it's cryptid, whether it's alien, whether it is paranormal? Now, when I look at this on a paranormal side, just the ghost side, okay, I am looking at this as something where I see a lot of these different groups that are out there. They're more weekend warriors. They're more people who love the thrill of the ghost rather than trying to actually help people. Is that the main reason why you put this together?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I got you. Yeah, because I guess it's in my blood. Being a combat medic, Tony's infantry, by the way, or ex-infantry. But we're being a combat medic, that's why I became a combat medic in the Army, is because helping people is what I do. So I got out 2010, like I said. This is a full-time job. We're not weekend warriors. We do this full-time, 24/7, 365 days a year. We handle 4 to 5 cases a day, quite often. There is no veil. We're busy whether it's Halloween or when the veil's finished or not. Nothing slacks. But no, yeah, we started this because people need help. You've got people that are being scratched, not by demons. They're being scratched by angry spirits. You got, abductees. Alien abductees, I have to say, are one of the worst, because what do you do to help them? And a lot of these abductees, they don't know they're being abducted. They've got strange things going on, and I've got a pattern that I go through, and they need help. With the abductees, a lot of them, once they understand they're not alone and they're not crazy, that starts the healing process. So, yeah, it was all about helping people and doing it free of charge, because a lot of groups and you find groups out there that charge a lot of money for doing what we do.
Bunny, you said that before you joined the group here that you were a client. What was happening with you, and what made you contact Forest Moon Paranormal?
Well, I had started being openly pagan and doing readings for the Ravens Grove, and as soon as I came out, I started getting attacked. I didn't know how to protect myself at all, and I was getting energy vamps and all sorts of things coming at me, and they started getting pretty physical. One of them hit me in the chin, and then I got choked, and that was the end of it. That's when I called the people at the Ravens Grove, talked to them, and they got a hold of Eric, which was a mentor for that group, too, at the time. I think Tony might have been, too. So he started working with me, and they did some astral work and got rid of everything that was going on. I'm really not sure everything that was going on there, but it got way better. And then, I think I joined Space Out Radio, got on there, learned a lot of things on the show. I haven't been there much lately because I've been so busy training and working on the astral thing, and then some things that I work on my own. So, but yeah.
So what was going on at your house?
Oh, just a lot was going on. I had 2 teenagers with me at the time. They were going through a very rough time. So, I just went through a divorce, and I had just came out really and started doing work more publicly, trying to help others, and because I felt free finally to do that. And there was all kinds of activity there. There was things moving around. There, mainly there was a lot of noise. Something kept hanging out in my closet there. But mainly it was just physical attacks that were happening that were really scary. And the energy vamp attack was pretty bad too. There were like 3 things right in a row. The energy vamp, then I got hit at a neighbor's house like in the chin. And then there was a choking thing. I was like ready to put 911. I was in front of my children and a friend, and they saw that. It was like, that was the end of it for me. I was really scared. And then it just didn't let up. It seemed like the pressure was on like for several days, but it did. Started learning more, learning protection. They, kept teaching me what I need to know to be able to do this to help others, safely.
Tony, I bring you in here now in regards to the whole paranormal experience. Let's learn a little bit about who you are. When did you start having paranormal experiences and realize that this was something that was your calling?
Well, I started noticing stuff back when I was probably about 14, 15. And I had my first astral experience when I was 16, and realized, there's some good stuff that could be done with it. Back then, though, I wasn't doing anything like this. I was just using it to go see different places and, test the waters, see what all I could find. But it turned out to be a good experience. I learned a lot of stuff from it, which led me up to, helping Eric out with this stuff and helping other people out. And like Eric said, I was infantry. I'm here to help people. That's what I like to do. And so it just felt right.
Was it something, as you say, it felt right? Did you ever see yourself getting this involved in the paranormal? Did you also, as a caveat to that question, did you also realize how many people are out there who actually need this type of help?
Well, like I said, I started when I was 16, so back then I didn't really pay too much attention to it, teenager, But then, once I started getting older in my 20s, I started realizing there is people that need help, and there is something I may be able to do to help them. Trial by fire, essentially. And I learned I was pretty good at what I did.
Eric, we bring you back in here now. When you put a team together that you wanted an emergency response team, what were you looking for?
People that already knew how to astral, basically. And I'm not there. I can't astral. I go by the client, because I'm actually talking to the client at the same time they're astraling. So, there's been cases where I've got, Tony on one chat saying, I'm coming down the hall, and I've got he's the client to move into the living room. So I'll be telling the client, that's how I know we're working, is the client. When the client says, yes, my home feels much better, that's how I vet people. Because if the client's the ultimate, goal here. If they say, yes, my house is cleared, the energy is much better here, there's no more knocks, there's no more, I'm not getting attacked, then I know the job's done. Mm-hmm. And like you said earlier, we have an open line of communication with our clients, endless. We'll never go away. So if anything comes back, because that's one thing about the paranormal, it's never absolute. Things can come back at any time. And that's one thing we do as well. Once the energy or the spirit's passed over, the energy's gone, then we shield the house. And by shielding, I mean we have I'm trying to think of the easiest way to explain it, but we kind of like have an energy, a curtain of energy around their home to where nothing can come back in. But then we have to educate the client and how to keep that curtain up. And, because if it's not there absolute, you got to work on it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, the client's the ultimate. If I hear from the client that, yeah, everything's good, everything is fine, then I know the team's accomplished the mission. And that's pretty much how we vet. And I let Tony and Richard, who are the instructors of the course that we offer, make that determination of who's strong, who needs work, and we go from there. They're my go-tos for the astral. So, yeah, that's how we vet, though.
Mm-hmm. How do you determine a case, Eric?
Let's see, well, depending on the urgency of it, if it's someone that's being attacked, or there's three things. If they're physically being attacked, if there's a child involved, or if they're pregnant. And the reason I say if they're pregnant is because a lot of times spirits will attack pregnant because they want the soul of the fetus, just to be blunt. And I've seen fetuses, how do I explain it? When I was in Germany, I had a friend who went to Desert Storm. I was watching over his girlfriend, or no, his wife at the time, actually. And she came into my barracks and says, I was playing with a Ouija board. Now, I'm not saying Ouija boards are bad. Don't ever get me wrong on that. You know where I stand on that. But she was pregnant. And after playing with this Ouija board, all of a sudden she had her rocking chair rocking on its own. She had the garbage can in the kitchen moving on its own. I wasn't into the paranormal so much at that time, so I couldn't help her. But she did have an abortion. The fetus died. She didn't have an abortion, but yeah, she lost her pregnancy. So to me, pregnancies are important as far as cases go. And like I said earlier, I do an assessment based on those 3 criteria. If it can wait, then I have a 9-page questionnaire that I'll send to clients for them to fill out so we can get a better understanding of what's going on that isn't pressing. And then we can set up a date for the team to come in.
I got a couple questions building up here from the audience. This one comes from Moogboy at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Or is it Moogboy? I never know. Being that you are a pagan group, what do you use as a religious object or anything to protect yourselves?
Hey, Eric, I'm going to weigh in on this one.
Yeah,
we are mainly pagan group, but we do actually have one guy he actually uses angels. He calls on, Archangel Michael and other angels to help him. Others in the group, well, for myself, say for doing actual combat, I've seen people use different type of weapons. Some people just use energy. Some people may use swords. I don't think I've ever seen anyone use guns or anything. It just depends on people's personal fighting style, and then who they can call to help booster them. Me, I prefer using a sword. Bonnie, what's your preferred method, if you'd like to explain it?
Sword. I use a sword for combat, usually. Guides also work with me. And mind energy, trying to learn some of that now on shifting thoughts of the entity or whatever we're dealing with, or the spirit, if it's needed to help them cross. You can slow them down, you can, speed things up. And, these are all things I'm working on learning, as I move along here.
I have to ask, if you're dealing with ghosts, what the hell does a sword do?
You're in their space.
It's not the sword you're thinking. This sword would be manifest of astral energy. We're taking it to the astral plane with us. Right. So it's pretty much an energy sword, essentially. It's whatever you decide to form that energy in. I've seen people use pretty much like energy balls, or balls of energy, essentially. People have used different things, and then, like Bonnie said, they call on their guides to help them also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, real quick, Dave. A lot of times they'll use spirit guides to actually pass the spirits over.
Got you. Okay. Makes sense. Let's get to a question from Joyce here. She is asking, and Eric, I'll point this one at you. Is it easier to assist a spirit crossover if there is no mystery as to the event of their death, like when there was no trauma or unnatural cause of death?
I believe so, and I want to bring up, too, not all spirits need to be crossed over. I mean, we'll use concrete for an example. There's a 22-year-old spirit in the local tavern. He doesn't want to go over. So why are you going to make him go over if he's not bothering anybody? The only time we actually, and you'll find in some cases, I won't say a lot, in some cases where you've got an angry spirit that's holding back other spirits, and they can't cross over as long as they're being held back. So we'll basically use the spirit guides to force over the angry spirit so that the other ones can cross over. But they don't have to cross over unless they want to, or if they're, and I hate to say it this way, if they're causing problems, then we will force them over.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate saying that because it was their home first, and that's kind of the way we look at it. But if we can't mediate, and a lot of times we do mediate, where the spirit can actually, you've got cases where the spirit didn't know he was dead. And, if you stop scaring the dog and the kids, then the client doesn't really care if the spirit stays or not. Well, once they understand that, well, I didn't know I was scaring the kids or the dog, and I'll stop. And they can stay. No big deal. So we do mediate as well as, crossover. And hopefully that answers.
Mm-hmm. Couple more questions here. This one from Joyce again. Astral travel, Eric, and remote viewing offer hope in resolving a haunting. Both did in time and location. Example, 1912, Villisca, Iowa, unsolved murders. Do you agree, then, that when you have people like Tony and Bonnie who are able to see into a scenario, that it makes the entire investigative picture a lot more clearer?
Okay, say it one more time.
Joyce is saying astral travel and remote viewing offer hope in resolving a haunting, both in time and location, as being right now. So when you have people like Bonnie and Tony who can go in there through astral travel or remote viewing, how much more helpful is that when they can see the full situation of what is going on?
Well, it's 100% helpful. If I'm understanding the question right. And yeah, astral travel's been going on since pretty much the beginning of time. But I don't think I quite understand the question or if it's a comment. But yeah, they're the ultimate when it comes to any kind of case. Yeah, they can see what's going on. They can see the spirit. They can actually communicate with the spirit from the astral. So they're pretty much all you need for most cases.
Another question coming for you, Eric, from Trip in the Space Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. He is asking, I can understand off-planeters and spirits want mothers to be, but do women before their cycle get visitations more than women after their cycle for her egg?
I'm looking at that question. Tripping. Of course it comes from you. You know what? I don't even know how to answer that one. No, I would say as far as the off-world was, yeah. No, they don't want the egg. They want the soul.
Mm-hmm. I can answer that in a different way. I know up here, where I live, we have something called the Highway of Tears. And that's where literally dozens of women, mostly First Nations, have disappeared without a trace. Some bodies have been found, most have not. Now, the First Nations believe that there is a serial killer going around, much like the RCMP, but where they take it to the next level is they believe that up to 20 to 30% of the First Nations women who have gone missing have actually been taken as Sasquatch wives. And one of the patterns that they have noticed is that when a woman is in menstruation, pregnant, or within a year of giving birth, those are the women who seem to disappear quite a bit. And it's a sad scenario because the RCMP, unfortunately, don't really investigate cryptids and cryptid kidnappings, even though many of us believe it's possible. So I think with his question, does it tie into everything that goes on? I think there actually is the ability for some of these situations to happen around a woman's cycle. So moving on here. Tony, we bring you back in here for a moment. How has your military training helped you for what you do in working with the paranormal?
Well, the military has taught me quite a few things. You know, taught me how to be disciplined, which helps a lot with being doing astral. It's taught me different fighting styles. You know, never underestimate your opponent, which has helped me quite a bit. Even though it may look like a normal case, I treat every case as worst case scenario. What else is there? I don't know. There's so much stuff from the military that plays a part in this. You learn to be always observant of your surroundings. You got to know everything that's going on. So, the military trained me, like Eric said, I was infantry, trained me to essentially kill people and, never trust one person or one entity in this case. So, it's helped me that way.
Very understandable. Very understandable. Do you find, Eric, that having ex or retired military personnel on Forest Moon Paranormal really has prepared these ladies and gentlemen for these types of situations much better than, say, if it were me or someone from the audience who doesn't have that experience?
Oh, most definitely. And because for one, we're under high stress in the military. So one thing as an emergency paranormal team, it can be high stress, and it's just like being in the military to an extent. With what they do in the astral with going to combat sometimes, and like I say, not every case is combative. In fact, I'd say, and Tony can probably back it up, as far as combative, it's actually rare. I think most of the time they just wind up passing the spirits over. But yeah, it's high stress, and they need to handle the high stress. And like I've told you before on the show, being military and going to combat, once you've gone to combat 2 or 3 tours, your fear factor is gone. So it's easier to deal with paranormal, because if a ghost or something taps you on the shoulder, you might jump and it'll startle you, but you're not going to run. You're going to go, hey, what the hell? So yeah, and working as a team is very important with what we do as well. So you work as a team in the military. You deal with fear different. You deal with stress different. So overall, yeah. And in fact, there's more and more military that are coming into the paranormal field. I just met 2 or 3 more here in my area just in the last 2-3 weeks. So it doesn't surprise me none. Because also being military, we've seen paranormal, as we've talked before. So it's nothing new. Being military, we travel to other countries. Germany's a very haunted country in itself. So, any soldier that's been to Germany can tell you ghost stories. So, yeah, the military is much easier, I guess, to deal with paranormal.
So all of you would have had a story that really led this up. Bonnie, we'll start with you on this one.
Okay.
I want to know, leading up in your life, what was your weirdest or strangest or scariest paranormal story?
Oh, boy. There was a lot of them, but I was living with my mom. I think it was in the mid-'90s, and that place was very haunted, and the particular room I was in was extremely haunted, and I was sleeping one night, and something just literally grabbed my leg and threw me into the floor, and I was like, what the heck did that, and then, I just really didn't, I wasn't really, things were happening. I had it blocked most of my early years, and I was like, what was that? And the next night, something literally jumped on my chest, and it was hideous looking. It told me it was going to possess me, and at the time, all I needed to do was make a cross with my hands and say, no, you're not. I belong to Jesus. You can't have me. And it went away, literally, when I said that. And the last straw of me going there and staying at my mom's was I was pregnant with my son, and when I went there, I got up early in the morning, and I went into the kitchen, and I looked back at the bathroom, and I saw smoke coming out. There's nobody there but me, and my parents were sleeping on the other side of the house. And I see smoke coming out of the bathroom. When I went in there, literally 3 holes were burning in the towel hanging over the rack. And there's no way that any electrical or anything could have done this. Nobody was there to do it. And I threw it in the sink and put it out. I went and woke my parents up, and I said, I'm leaving. I got to get out of here. That was pretty intense, but there's been a lot of things. You know, they came and they went, you know.
How about you, Tony?
Okay.
How about you, Tony? What's the most interesting paranormal or ufological story that you have?
Well, I really don't deal too much with the UFO side. I leave that to Eric. I know enough to make myself dangerous, essentially. My weirdest one is, I want to say back when I was about 15, just starting out, I started off Wiccan, and me and some friends were gathered around. We did a circle. We're messing around with stuff we probably shouldn't have. And one of my friends that was there with me looks up, and outside the window was just a floating, glowing skull. Craziest thing ever. And he started freaking out, and I thought he was pulling my leg right at first. I look over, and sure enough, everyone could see it, just sitting there floating, staring at us. Didn't harm us, didn't do anything mean, but just a glowing, floating skull. And that was kind of my wake-up to, hey, there is more stuff out there. But, yeah, for 15, that freaked me out pretty good. Now, if I seen it, I'll just find out what it wants or help it move across or whatever needs to be done. But
it's weird how it just kind of creeps up on you, no pun intended. I know the last week when I had the guys on the show and we went into overtime during the show, I actually had my chair pushed on me twice. I thought it was my dog that was maybe behind me, because a lot of times he likes to hang out in the studio while I'm doing the show. But I've never been touched or scratched or hair pulled or anything like that. I never get flirted with by the spirits on the other side like that. I'm, a little jealous. But on the flip side, I'd never had my chair moved before. And
well, if it happens again and you have trouble, you can give us a call. We'll be here for you.
I'm okay with it. I'm okay with when stuff like that happens. You'll get to know me through Eric a little bit more. I'm pretty good with it. But how about you, Coop? Tell us something weird that happened with you.
Oh God, you've already heard all my stories. But okay, so when I was stationed in Germany, I was in Germany for 8 years total, 3 different times, and I was living in an apartment in Dettelbach, Germany, over a Greek restaurant, and we had a spirit we had multiple spirits that lived in that apartment, and as I said before, at that time, I wasn't into the crossing over the spirits. I didn't even have a paranormal group. And that was before Iraq, as a matter of fact. But this thing threw a knife across our kitchen, and the knife actually stuck in the wall. And I've never seen cold water boil. That was the first time. There were times where we would have the doors open and the smell of complete garbage would come down the hallway. We went in the basement to meditate because we wanted to communicate with it, and you could hear children laughing. And that was probably the creepiest place I've ever lived. But after the kitchen, after the knife incident, we actually, my wife at the time was freaked out, and naturally, and we went to German housing and to get moved, and the woman said, "You have a Geist?" Oh my God! Okay, you're moving now. And okay, cool. And we had no idea they'd be that open to a haunting. The fact that there really is a haunting, and that was probably the scariest place I've lived.
You got to do me a favor, because it's been a while since you told this story on this show, but we have so many new listeners now. You have to tell us about the time when you were stationed in Germany and you actually saw like something from the past.
Yeah, okay. So, this is back in '92. We just got back from Operation Positive Force, as a matter of fact, the Desert Storm. I was in the 11th Armored Cavalry. I was with one of my cook buddies, and we were walking down an alley. We went bar hopping all the time. We weren't drunk. We were just getting started. And we were walking down this dark alley towards the Rotzkeller. Now, the Rotzkeller, for those that don't know anything about Germany, the Rotzkeller is kind of like your city center, kind of like where the mayor stayed. It's the central hub of the town. And at this point in time, it's a restaurant. Because, I mean, this is an old 200, probably older than that, year town called Bad Hersfeld. And so we're walking, it's like close to midnight, probably between 11 and 12. And as we're walking towards the Rotzkeller, both of our vision, but we didn't know it at the time that we were each seeing this, our vision went black and white. And in front of us is a 1930s, 1920s, whatever that era was, limousine. It's got the Hitler, the Nazi flag on one side, the German flag on the other. And here comes Hitler and his entourage out of the Rotzkeller. Now, here's why I don't understand. I don't know, because they all looked up at us. I don't know if they saw us as, in their eyes, we were Germans walking down the alley, or I don't know if they saw us as these strange dressed, because we're Americans walking down the alley, but they didn't look shocked. They didn't look surprised. They went about their normal business, and we took a left at the end of the alley and kept on walking. And about 5 minutes later, he says, "Coop, did you just see something?" And I went off. I'm like, "Are you serious? You saw that too?" And we both described the exact same thing. Did we walk through a wormhole? I have no idea. Did we walk through a rift in time? I have no idea. But a lot of strange stuff happened in Germany.
Why do you think it's so haunted over there? We got about 90 seconds left.
I think it's the past. I think it's got a lot of very violent history. I think the history of the country, for the most part, is what locks everything there.
Very interesting indeed. Go ahead, Eric.
It's got very, very evil people. I mean, Hitler, so, yeah, I'm trying to think the easiest way to explain it. I'm not sure. That's one of those things that you just go,
It happens. It happens that way. All right, guys, we are with Eric Cooper, Bonnie Smith, Tony Loki from Forest Moon Paranormal. We're going to get into the astral traveling, the remote viewing, on how they help the paranormal and clients out during a ghost session. We got a lot more coming up in the next 2 hours, so I hope you take the time to tune on in with us. You are listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. And right after this, we'll be right back.
From coast to coast to coast, Blacklight Uncharted is taking on the paranormal across Canada. From ghostly hauntings to the UFOs flying above in conjunction with MUFON Canada, we're closely investigating what's going on in the northern skies and checking out the apparitions that walk among us. Check out our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com. We want to know your thoughts, we want to hear your experiences, and we want you to share your stories. The answers are out there, and we intend to find them.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
Looking for news beyond the mainstream news? Head to spacedoutradio.com and check out the SOR Spacewire. This is Spaced Out Radio's Eric Markham, News Director for the SOR Spacewire. Daily, I will bring you intriguing stories and outlandish reports from what's going on around the world. UFO sightings, paranormal activity, conspiracies, alternative health, and so much more. And if you have news, email me at news@spacedoutradio.com.
Have you had an experience you can't explain? Had a run-in with ghosts, maybe Bigfoot, or seen lights in the sky? Hi, I'm Mike Schmidt from the SOR Sightlines. I'm here to investigate your sighting. Head to spacedoutradio.com and fill out a report on the Sightlines. All your information is 100% confidential, and I will help you figure out what you've been seeing. File your report, and let's find out the answers together.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Have you got your Cosmic Passport? If you need one, tune in to Cosmic Passport on Spaced Out Weekend. This is Elizabeth Anglin, ET experiencer, spirit medium, and host of Cosmic Passport. Each weekend I'll be bringing you interviews and support from other paranormal experiencers, and the best in intuitive spiritual guidance from across the globe. It's all happening starting at 9 p.m. Pacific Time, midnight Eastern, on spacedoutradio.com.
From British Columbia to Northern California, Pacific North Weird has Cascadia covered. Check out our feature videos at spacedoutradio.com, where I, Vincent Zunza, and my super sleuth partner Alexandra Sullivan track down the weird and strange stories from around the Pacific Northwest. From Bigfoot to Mel's Hole and everything in between. This is what makes life exciting. So why report the normal when we can report the Pacific North Weird right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Oh, there's only one way to rock. Loud and proud. In high definition. Radio 702 rocks. Las Vegas.
Every Saturday and Sunday night, as Dave Scott wanders aimlessly in the wilderness, you can come hang out with me, James Tyson, in Spaced Out Weekend. Starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, I'll take you along as we talk with some of the best experts in their fields. SpacedOutRadio.com is the place to find us. So sit down, relax, put your feet up, enjoy the topics like the paranormal, supernatural, intuitiveness, and so much more. Hope to see you there.
Don't have time to listen to Spaced Out Radio live? Wherever you are, the car, the office, the shower, or even if you're traveling, we're right here for you. Each Spaced Out Radio show can be found on iTunes, TuneIn, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. It's the perfect way for you to catch up on our shows. For more information, just head over to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and tune in to us today.
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. And hit us up on Twitter using the hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back for hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott. We do this thing 7 nights a week right here at spacedoutradio.com. Tomorrow night, we're going to be joined by Viking and some friends. He goes by Viking. And we're going to be talking everything from Ascension to Mandela Effect and everything in between. It's going to be an interesting show nonetheless, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time at spacedoutradio.com. Hey, if you want to follow us on social media, you can do so on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Also use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio in order to communicate with me during the show. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. Tune us in on TuneIn. Download this show and others on iTunes. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including joining the the SOR Space Travelers Club for $5 a month. Can't beat that deal. We want to welcome in everyone listening in on the United Public Radio Network, live on 107.7 FM in New Orleans and over 160 countries around the world. Thank you so much for joining us. We are live in Las Vegas on Renegade Talk Radio. Yes, the nighttime show of Sin City right here. And if you're listening in on Revolution Radio, remember the Double R Machine is a donation station financed by you, the valued listener. Head on over to freedomslips.com and donate today. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Winkle Picker. Winkle Picker is your password. Never heard of it, don't know the meaning, but Winkle Picker is your password if you are a member of the SOR Space Travelers Club, so use it wisely. Tonight we are talking with members of Forest Moon Paranormal. We have Eric Cooper, Bonnie Smith, Tony Loki joining us. We're talking how astral travel and remote viewing helps out paranormal emergencies. We bring the team back in. Welcome back.
Yeah, good to be here. It looks like Tony's got to work for 30 minutes. He's a security supervisor, so he had to step out for a few.
Not a problem. Not a problem. Well, let's talk about a little bit about what astral travel is. And Bonnie, I would love for you if you can go in length on what astral travel is.
It's actually leaving your body and going into the next astral dimension, the next dimension from Earth, and being able to connect to energies and travel there, through your mind to... It's all energy work, basically, a lot of it, Everything we create and use is done with our mind and energy and various things, our guides and stuff. But yeah, you actually leave, you can go in. I haven't had any problem going anywhere we went so far and getting there once I have something to lock energy on, wherever it is in the world so far. And then you're right there in that dimension. You're seeing where the haunting's happening. You're seeing what's there. And you can calculate the situation, as to what to do about it.
Take us through what it's like. How do you get to that scenario in order to astral travel?
I use some trance work and meditation mainly with me, and deep meditation. But it's gotten to where now I can pretty much jump out of my body pretty quick. It used to take a lot more preparation for me mentally and all the way around. But now, it wasn't too long ago, we had 3 emergencies in one evening or one day, and there wasn't really time to take all that preparation. I like to make more preparation when I have time, but I keep a lot of things in place at all times too for protection. So I'm learning to get it all put together and out there quicker.
Eric, explain what happens when you call in the astral team. Take us through a scenario of what would call for that.
Okay. Like I said earlier, so we get contacted either through Facebook, through private message, through a posting on Forest Moon Paranormal's group, or a phone call. And most of the time, like I said, it's either an admin from another group that sees someone describing either a haunting or an attack or something of that nature, and they immediately contact me and say, here's the individual, here's what's going on. And like I said, the 3 key things I look for are pregnancy, kids, and a physical attack. And those are the 3, my God, we got to do it now. If it's just, I've got a spirit, and I want to know what's going on, it can wait till the next day. A lot of times we get emergency cases at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'll actually call one of our astral team members and wake them up if it's one of those 3 criteria. The other cases are I'll actually have other paranormal teams that will contact me and say, look, we're doing an investigation. We don't know what we're dealing with. We've tried saging. We've tried cleansing. We've tried this. We've tried that. But this thing's just mocking us and not going away. And those I kind of see as important because you've got someone that, that kind of, in theory, knows what they're dealing with or knows what they're supposed to be doing, and it's not working. That calls for the astral team. And the other thing is distance. Now, our astral team is scattered. Tony's in Indiana. Bonnie, I believe you're in Florida, right?
Yeah, Florida.
And, we have 3 of them that are here in Washington. Jamie's in Oregon. And everyone's different when it comes to the astral. I might not astral, but I know enough about it to explain it and talk about it. Some of the members can go by the client's voice. They'll have to talk to them on the phone. Some of them can go by a picture, and that's how they get the energy link to know who the client is and where they're at. And then they're gone. And some of them need to meditate. We had one a few years ago that had to actually go to sleep, and then he could astral. And the other ones, they just see the picture and they're gone. And it's immediate. So everyone's different, and it also goes by their skill level. It goes by what we need to work on as a team is getting our new folks more field time. Because a lot of times when the emergency comes down, it's usually either Tony or Jamie that take it, and our new folks don't get, the field time necessary.
So when you make that decision to call in the astral travel team, how many people are you actually calling in at that time? Is it a case for one? Do they go in multiple members?
Okay. Like I said, usually I call in Jamie or Tony. I let them make that assessment. Jamie or Tony are skilled enough that they go assess it. If they can handle it on their own, they do. And if it's something that requires multiple astral members, then they'll, call in a teleconference and they'll pick the whole team. I leave that up to them as far as what they have to do. And most of the time, it's like we had a case where we had to do a battlefield and pass over spirits and try to clear that out. But a battlefield's got so many spirits, so much negativity, so much violence that's hard. That's a hard one to clear.
So I guess where I'm a little lost here is at what point do you decide to call them in? What has to be happening on the other end with that spirit or entity that makes you take that next step?
Basically, just those 3 cases. If it's a child, if it's an attack, or if it's a pregnancy. Those are the 3 criteria I go by.
I get that, but I guess what I'm saying, what does the spirit have to be doing, Eric?
Okay, if I have a case where a spirit's pushing them down the stairs, if it's actually scratching them, if it's, we've had cases where they've been laying on them, putting pressure on their chest, actual physical attacks. And if you have a child that is terrified to sleep in the room, we've had cases where clients were actually staying in a hotel because they're too scared to be in their home. That's how drastic I'll look.
That seems a heck of a lot more than just spiritual attachment.
Well, it is. And a pissed off spirit can do a lot. To be blunt, and usually it's an otherworldly entity as well.
Okay, I'm going to ask you then to define what you mean by an otherworldly entity.
An otherworldly entity. Okay, so you've got elementals. Elementals usually don't attack, but you've got multiple different entity types, and I wish Tony was here because Tony could explain it a whole lot better. Some of them are lower level demons. Lower level demons aren't the ones that are as rare. You deal with them as you would in a malevolent spirit. It's the higher level demons that you got to worry about, and they're the ones that actually cause depression, cause suicide, things of that nature. They don't actually attack.
Do you think a lot of people, Eric, really understand what is going on in the paranormal field, on how dangerous it can be?
No, I don't. And that's where paranormal TV is a disservice, because you got too many people that step up and want to be a ghost investigator or a ghost hunter and wind up getting attachments. I mean, you've got groups out there that, I don't need no protection. Ain't nothing going to follow me home. And, well, yeah, then they get an attachment. And like I said, we've had other teams actually call us saying, I don't know what we're dealing with, and they follow one of our team members home. And so then you've got two different situations. You got to figure out the attachment on the other team member, and you've got to clear out their case.
Mm-hmm. I can get that. I can see that. I have a question coming from Joyce in the SOR Space Travelers Club, and she is asking, can someone who is not able to astral travel see another person who is examining a scene remotely?
No. Picture it as another dimension. You might feel their energy. You can feel their presence. But see them, no.
You got to admit, that would be cool if you could.
You know how many 911 calls there would be if you could see someone astral into your home?
Well, the government would be out of a job. Many in there would be out of a job. Absolutely. Eric, I got a question from Mario for you in the Space Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. He is asking, how do you rid a house of a high-level demon then?
I saw that question and I kind of cringed.
Well, you know I'm going to ask.
Oh, yeah. I don't have that knowledge. That's beyond my pay level. Tony would be the pay level. Tony, I believe, has actually removed high-level demons. Basically, like I said, most of our astral team, they use their spirit guides. And I believe when it comes to high-level demons, they're some of their spirit guides, I won't go into it, but some of their spirit guides are pretty badass. Blood. And that's how they rid high-level demons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But, no, yeah. And like I said, though, high-level demons have much better things to do than go mess with the human race. So they are very rare.
Maybe you can answer this. Maybe you can answer this one, Bunny.
What's that? I'm sorry. About the high-level demons. I haven't met I probably have met one, but it was in a different situation. We've been exposed to a couple lately, mostly just observing and feeling the energy, learning to feel the energy. So when we get that energy signature again in other places, we'll know what we're getting. You know, you'll learn to pick up the energy of everything's got energy, and every energy is different. And as we burn these, so yes, I've had some contact with them, but nothing, I haven't swayed any myself lately.
Bunny, I got a question here for you from Shar. When you guys are discussing about entities, what do you mean by entities?
All kinds of unusual things that exist in the, that have different behaviors and levels in the astral plane, like, I guess, fairies and fae and dragons and lots of different things exist in the astral plane that you don't see. And entities can look, I saw one the other night that looked like a mixture of a pig and a rat, okay? I've seen new things all the time, because I'm, new every case I'm learning different entities and different things. So I'm not sure how these things develop, how they become. I don't know if anyone has that answer for sure, but that would be nice to know. But there's some strange, unusual ways that entities look and behave and types. And I'm just trying to learn as fast as I can.
So, Bonnie, when you are on an astral traveling mission, what type of information do you receive before going in?
It varies. Sometimes we only get an address. We might try to look up the land history a little bit on, usually, ideally, we get pictures. We get pictures of the people involved if we can. We evaluate what's going on. A lot of us have the ability to see what's going on in these pictures and see things that are, there. And then they usually do some recon like Tony or Jamie. And then they decide who they need to take with them, and we go in there and then deal with it. Depending on what we're dealing with, some things are easy. Some, we try to take it easy. We try to convince them of a better way, always. And there's rare occasions where that doesn't work out that way, and we have to, like Eric said, physically remove them or have our guides remove them, so that the people can have peace, Mm-hmm. But a lot of times it can be resolved. Mostly it is.
Mm-hmm. When you are in someone's home, can you see them? Can you see maybe their pets?
Yes.
So basically it's like visualizing what's happening in their home. So if you were astral traveling over to my house right now, you would see me sitting at my desk in front of my computers. You would see the water flood that is happening right behind me. You would see absolutely everything. And yes, believe it or not,
absolutely everything, because you get better and better with that as you go, like more vision, I would say. I don't know how to put it, but you just get better. I find that with a little bit of time I've been doing it, the vision gets better, you see more, you understand more, as you learn. But yeah, I can see the people, I can feel the energies, I know where they're at. We, do things to protect them. When we come in initially, we try to make sure that all the pets, all the adults, kids, everybody's shielded by us before we, if we can, ideally. If we have to get something away from them, we will. And then we'll get them shielded, and then, if there's things we have to cut ties to that are attached, we work on doing that. And as a team, four minds are better than one.
Eric, because that is, that's one thing. A lot of times you'll have a spirit or an entity that has an attachment to a client, and we can cut that energy tie, trace it back to where the entity is, and remove it. Mm-hmm. Now, an energy tie is when a client's describing they just don't have any energy. They feel drained all the time. They're tired. They're depressed. They're moody. And a lot of times that is an energy tie from an entity.
Yeah.
So, Bonnie, when you are in someone's home where you are doing an astral travel, you've explained a little bit of what you see, but tell us what you're seeing with the spirit, the attachment to that place. I want you to go into fine detail about this, because for most of us, I don't think we quite understand.
Well, you actually see what it looks like. You see its being, the being as it is, whatever that might be. It can be many different things I'm learning. You see the spirits. You see what they're doing, how they're dressed, what they're saying, what they're thinking, basically, it's done through telepathy mostly, the communication with them, and you talk to them, it's, you see and feel entities. Sometimes we have multiple level cases, like, that have entities. They have spirits, they have Native American unrest on the land, they have like battles, whatever, there's some places we have multiple, and sometimes ETs too. I finally got to see a few. But I never saw any before doing this, but now I've seen a couple.
Hey, Bonnie, go ahead and give them a case scenario.
About,
Without the names and locations, just give them one of the cases that you've done.
We had one recently. We have had a lot of, like, we have some, I guess you would call it like incubus, like this type things. We had a teenager being attacked by one, and there was a lot going on there. A lot of our clients have talent themselves, or they have abilities. That is why these things are drawn to them, a lot of them. And we try to pick up on that. This girl had some disabilities and had been bullied. A lot of the things going on with her. And but the worst thing is, this is what bothered me, is how do you get help for somebody that's been molested by a entity or a spirit? You know, it was a hard case for me, because, you know, but we try to work with them the best we can, because it's really hard. You can't report that. You can't go to a counselor and tell them. Generally, they would probably flip out that something like this has happened, but it obviously had. We were able to tell that. And, you know, that was one case. With multiple things. We had one recently where we were dealing a lot with Native Americans. On battleground where a client lived. There were also entities and a lower level demon there, you know, at the same time. We went as a team, you know, and the team leader, Jamie, is my team leader, and Donna Cunningham's on our team, and Skeeter Wheelhouse. And usually it's me and Donna and Jamie going a lot of times. So she breaks it down how we're going to do it. She tells us what, you know, this is how we need to approach it, because she's done it so many times, and she's extremely experienced. And that's what we do. You know, we take it one thing at a time. We always try to protect everybody first, you know. There's a lot of scenarios. That one it still has unrest there, you know, because of the battleground and everything. So we've been back there a couple times. There's been a lot of them.
I understand. I understand. There's a lot of silly and understandings in regards to what is going on, you know. And I'm still looking, you know, and I don't mean to keep pressing the same question, but for many of us who don't understand with what you are seeing, Bonnie, you know. When you go into someone's house, are you seeing their dirty dishes? Are you seeing if they've made their bed or not? What does this...
No, we're not looking at that. I mean, I guess you could be looking at that, but I'm really more focused on what I'm doing, because we go prepared for whatever can happen, and things can happen really quickly over there. Like something can go sour in a second. You know, something else all of a sudden drop out of the sky there, you know, and you're like, okay. We have to go into combat now, you know, and it's just like that. We see the things. I mean, we can see those things, but we're not really looking and concentrating on that, whether the house is clean or whatever. We're basically looking at the energies around us and calculating what they're going to do, trying to figure out how we're going to deal with them. In the best manner to, you know, be safe and with the problem that the client's going with. We also try to, in every way we can, to work with spirits and entities to some degree. Some of them you can deal with, but not too many. We had one time, me and Tony. That was kind of an interesting case, and it was running around the house kind of so much. It wasn't getting away, but it had a deal. They had a master somewhere around that told her they had to stay there, and it was a fairy folk thing, sort of in that realm, and Tony was able to do some shamanic spells to help, and it passed over, and the deal was made. It left. Mm-hmm. You know, things like that are done. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's everything mostly. I mean, like I could tell you that one. You know, some things look like gray energy with faces. Some don't. Some are black completely. Some are saw in complete color. But most of the entities are darker. I see them as a darker energy. Other people might see more different things than I do. We all see, put our input in. We usually are communicating during a case also. We are either using private message or conference calls. So we're talking, hearing, knowing to each other what's going on as we're doing this stuff.
Question from hashtag Spaced Out Radio on Twitter. John is asking, has anyone that you know, or maybe you, Bonnie or Eric, ever removed spirits from a hospital, ER, or maybe a morgue?
Yes. We have. We had a training mission where we went to Penhurst. I think it was a psychiatric hospital that went very sour, and they did a lot of terrible things to the patients there. And there was a training mission, and we went through different areas. There was a, story about a nurse that had committed suicide there because she got pregnant in that day and age, which was, a long time ago, so it wasn't very acceptable. And we crossed over. It was a pretty positive experience there. It was a training mission, and we crossed over quite a few. We went to the morgue area. We went to a tunnel where they took the bodies out of the institution, the main tunnel that they did, and we did some work in there. And we didn't have any combat. It was kind of a conglomerate of spirits. There was a lot of things that they were looking at. A lot of them don't know what to think of us, too, because we were dressed and we were kind of like in armor and things with swords, and we're hopping around in their environment, too. So they see us. They hear us. They know we're there. And so, yes, I have done that. And but not in one. I was a nurse for 18 years, too, so I did some ER work for 5 years, surgery 5 years, and delivered babies for 8 years. So that has my background on it. So I didn't, when I was a nurse, I hardly was in contact with spirits. That's the strangest thing. I think I was too busy to be. But I was blocking it out because I wasn't ready to accept this whole thing. I didn't like it for years, trust me. But yes, I have. And I'm sure, I see a lot of medical people that are involved in this kind of work too, just like military.
So, Bonnie, when you are astral traveling to a location, how long does it take before the spirit notices you were there?
Not long. Not long. Some of them don't get attention. Some of them are like in their own little world too. I've been in cases where they're talking to themselves, or they're, we had a soldier that was earthbound at a place, and he had been through some experimental things, and he was extremely scared, and he didn't really, it took working with him to get him to see that we were even there, and to get him, to communicate with us and cross over, because he was terrified of all the things that he'd been through. He was still caught in that care. So we were able to cross him over, Does that help?
Yes, it is. Yes, it does. So when the spirit notices that you are around, what is usually the reaction?
It varies. Some of them are they're usually kind of surprised a little bit, some of them. Some of them are interested in what we're doing, and we're there, We kind of send messages to them as we're coming in. I think a lot of us do, we're letting them know that we're not there to be a problem. We're trying to let them see that we're peaceful, as much as possible, the way we probably look to them. We try to project that to them so that they understand, if we can, But yeah, entities, demons, they know right away. There are a lot of different things, and they know that they may not want to leave, so they might get upset and start misbehaving more. If they're like, say, the angry man's there. Now, we've seen a few of those that are really, they're disturbing the whole area. They're upset. They live there maybe sometime, and they think that's their property, and they want it back. And So we try to calm them and move them, but they can get others caught up in that, like Eric said. You often see that there's other people there that are not crossing over too that would like to.
Is it a look of shock on the spirit's face when they see you?
Yeah, sometimes they look at it. I think at Penhurst it was kind of more like that. I felt like they were really shocked in the wards, to get with it, had spirits there mingling around. There was one where it felt a little bit, it felt a little like they might come after us, but, then they all turned around and we just started crossing numbers of them over. But, they noticed us right. They were just really thought we were strange and looking at us like, what is this, Because I guess, I don't know, I guess we're strange to them. They know it's something different, and some of them, like I said, one was come run, some hide from us. That's common, but you can't really hide from us, so they try. But we can find them, so.
Mm-hmm. So when you make eye contact, and I'm curious about this, when you make eye contact with a spirit, and they're seeing you on the astral plane, do they give you a look of curiosity, kind of like, what the hell are you doing here? Or do they get angry and start stirring up more? How do they react?
All differently. If they're already angry and you show up, then they're probably going to get angrier. If they're, just kind of lost, or if they're just not just mingling or wandering around somewhere they've been for years, they'll know they're dead. And stuff, they'll look at, they notice you and they look at you. Some of them look at you seriously. Most of them don't seem fearful of us, really. They're just kind of curious about who this is showing up here like this, a group of people, and why are they there, and so forth. But, you can see different emotions. You can feel them, too. You can feel them. I see and feel their emotions. Got some empathic things with me too that I can pick up on what they're thinking and how they're feeling. If they're angry, we had a case not long ago where we went to get an entity, but there was also a gray there that felt like this person was their family. Maybe they were, but they were not right there at the residence when we were in doing the entity. And now that one, I could feel and hear that gray's thoughts coming very fast towards me and Jamie, and that at that particular moment, like I said, we were very protective. Jamie made me leave, and she handled it. So I was asked to leave. There are times when they pull the new ones out. I mean, like I said, I feel safe. If they tell me to leave, I leave. I listen. I know that they know what they're doing. I feel confident in that.
Are any of them angry or pissed off that they see you? Dawn is asking this.
Yes. Sometimes they are, because they know they can hear our thoughts as well, that they know we're there to get rid of them. And they don't want to leave,
Oh, and let me interject real quick, because we've actually had cases where we couldn't call the client because, our phones are usually functioning quite well. But we've actually had spirits and entities that have actually tried to keep us from communicating with our clients. That's how pissed off they do get.
Question from Rahonda in the Twitterverse at #SpacedOutRadio. And she is asking, do you ever hear of a case where you know or fear you won't be able to help? Eric, we'll start with you on that one.
Actually, no. I don't think we've ever not. The only time we've actually not been able to accomplish a case was due to clients. And I mean, we have some cases, and it has nothing to do with the entities or the spirits. We've never unsuccessfully accomplished that mission. But we do have clients occasionally that they find out you're pegging and all of a sudden they have an issue. And we do put it right up front. We actually had a case where the mother was the actual client. Once her son found out we were pagan, he had an issue. We had already done we already cleared out the property, so that wasn't an issue. We were done. But then all of a sudden he had an issue with the fact that we were pagan, and he wanted a priest to come on. And I'm like, okay, not a problem. That's your preference. And we stopped contact. But as far as being able to remove or clear, no, we've never had, we've always accomplished that mission. The only other so you've got a husband and wife in a house. The husband wants us to come in, and all of a sudden the wife finds out, oh, no. And so you can't, you got to honor that wish. And then you got the astral question. Well, what's astral? And you explain astral, and they just think that sounds crazy. So they don't want you to be involved, and they call in a local team. And, you do have that. And you have to honor the client's wishes, and we do. Hope that answers the question.
How about you, Bonnie? Have you ever had a case where maybe you felt that you wouldn't be able to help?
Being new, sometimes I think that these are big mountains we're coming up against, but I'm realizing that they really know what they're doing, and yeah, pretty much. I mean, there are, like you said, client issues that happen, land issues, that are really hard to take care of. There's been a couple that I felt that way about, but we've improved the situations and, done pretty good, I think, So, I mean, I'm new, so sometimes these things that they're used to doing when they say we're going to go do this and it's something new to me, I'm like, oh boy, And they're like, no, not like that. It's going to, they explain to me new things, how they do it and everything. But, yeah, I don't really, sometimes to me it looks bigger than it does to them at this point, because some of them have been doing 20-some odd years of this, of astral and different types of work and spiritual work, so...
Well, it is one of
those... A
year
ago, I didn't think it was possible to get rid of what was bothering me, but, it's long gone now, so...
Do you like working alone, or do you like working in a tandem, Bonnie?
I'm not working alone yet because I'm not advanced enough for that. So we're now sometimes me and Donna will do. Jamie will send us now lately to do some things that she knows that we can do. She knows that the situation. She's already made sure that it's she's trained little by little, more and more all the time. And so we're getting more responsibility. So but going alone, I've gone, I go along with instructors a lot, like Jamie or Tony, mostly Jamie, but I have with others. Richard, Benek, our astral school instructor. So, yes, but not alone yet, no. I mean, I astral on my own. I astral every day, whether it's the case or not. I just do it. Because I go over there and I work on my skills that I use over there. So practice makes perfect.
When you finally meet up with a spirit, Bonnie, on this astral plane, do you talk to them? And if so, sure. Do they talk to you? Give me an example of a conversation here.
Let me think. I was long one, but like the serviceman I was talking about, that was the case that I was actually handling. They were understanding, but I tried some different things to get through to him so he realized we were there. Like I even kind of did a ship-shaping thing where I didn't look like a warrior cat, something where he's not seeing me, he sees me as a lady, they were to help him. Not because I was afraid that might have scared him more because the military had abused him, And, but yeah, he talked to me and then he told me what had happened. And then I had one of my guys, he told me they had been through a lot. They tell us unusual things. Kids will tell us how they die. We find children. They're looking for their parents. Do you know where I'm at? Or this happened to me. You get stories from them, you get different stories, different things that happened, sometimes they're looking for people. You know, like something might happen, like a flood, or I think we had recently a place where some people had some flooding and went through and died. So there was a lot going on there. And lost people in little groups, like still wandering around, like what happened to us, you know. I guess it was a flash flood or some kind of thing. So it's shocking. I mean, especially with kids, it's the unexpected type of deaths. I see that too as a medium, that the spirits, you know, are more likely, the more tragic, the more young, the more not ready they were for the whole experience, then they can become earthbound. They don't know what to do. Depends on what they're taught to. Their religious beliefs, you know, play into that a lot. Some people go straight over, don't have a problem. They cross right away, you know. They don't even look back, you know. Everybody that wants to be reached doesn't want to be reached, you know, at times. You can't say as a medium, I can't say that I can reach everybody, because I've had, you know, people that didn't want to come, but usually they come to me, the spirit. So I kind of like attracted or something, I think. They can tell that I can hear them. So it's been something that's gone on for most of my life with that. But yeah, there's a lot of conversations, many scenarios where you're talking to them, you know, and they're telling you what happened, or they're telling you, this is my house, you know, I love it here, I don't want to leave. They, like you said earlier, they don't like know they're scaring somebody with what they do too. They're just living their life there the way they want to, or, you know, it's not the kind of existence we would be happy with, but they're kind of in a limbo sort of scenario there at the moment, not really going forward. And once you move on it, but they talk to us, yeah, they talk to us, they yell at us, they hit us if they can. Sometimes they try, you know. We're pretty prepared for that. We're expecting the unexpected always. Like I said, sometimes you go somewhere and something else will show up, and so you're ready for whatever, you know.
I understand that you're ready for whatever that could possibly happen. But do certain scenarios hit you? Like, for instance, if all of a sudden you're dealing with children rather than, say, a grumpy old man.
Yeah, kids are very touching cases, you know. Yes, they can be real hard. For me, I'm an infant, so I feel a lot of the stuff that they feel. And so, yes, kids are the harder ones to deal with, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, some of them are just pleasantly happy existing where they're at and playing, you know, like they aren't unhappy. We have some cases where they don't want us to remove somebody. You know, they'll tell us they have a child spirit. Recently, I think someone told us they had a child spirit, but they didn't really want us to come remove it. I had a couple cases. They just wanted to find out how to handle it themselves or see if they can. You know, it's not a big disruption. It's just obviously they're removing balls or playing or doing whatever. And if they need our help, then we help them. If they don't, we don't mean it for that.
Bonnie, I'm going to get you to move a little bit closer to your microphone because it's getting at times a little bit difficult to hear you. Eric, I'm going to ask you the same question in regards to spirits that are involving children. I know as a parent to young children, you and me, our children are pretty close in age. How do you deal with calls about child ghosts?
Oh, child ghosts. Yeah. In fact, we have something recent involving children here locally that I'm going to be working with the spirit ropers on. Child ghosts, that's a tricky one. And to be honest, I don't have a whole lot of experience with children ghosts. Because 80 to 90% of our cases are astral. So we don't get a whole lot of physical calls here locally. So that'll be the first. But definitely, yeah, it's more traumatic for the living to deal with a child that's passed on. Most definitely. And then you also have to look at the fact that is it really a child ghost or is it something imitating? And those are things you have to look at as well. Because, malevolent entities know that the living are going to be more compassionate towards children. So they can mimic as well. Okay.
Yeah, I got
Tony's
tricked
back.
on that one.
Right. I got a question from Olive in the Revolution Radio chat room, and he is asking, do any of you think that it just might be the advanced military testing upon you guys using their advanced technology? These beings, a.k.a. spirits, that they hear talking to them.
No.
No.
Not at all.
No.
Because you talking about us specifically, or are you talking about
Yeah.
we're talking...
In other words, let me rephrase the question. Okay? I believe what he's asking is, have you ever dealt with any scenarios that could be something along the lines of MK Ultra?
No. I don't think so, because of the fact that, and I understand what you're saying, but MK Ultra, no, because if it was MK Ultra, these are global cases. I mean, we've taken cases in Ireland, Australia, UK, from the astral. And could it be MK Ultra? I reckon there's a slight possibility, but I don't think so. Bonnie, or actually Tony, you here now?
No.
I'm going to have to agree with Eric on this one. I'm going to have to say no also. I mean, we have cases from all across the globe.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you this, Tony, and welcome back, and thank you for doing this on a night where you're working. We really do appreciate you taking the time. Have you or Bonnie ever dealt with, or have you ever had a scenario where you have extraterrestrials who are haunting on a spiritual realm, and have you ever had to astral travel to an extraterrestrial spiritual contact?
I've never traveled off planet, and never even tried it, to be honest. Other dimensions, essentially, yes, but not off planet. I think I've talked to Eric about what I seen in astral one time that I wasn't so sure about. I believe, and once again, I don't know that much about extraterrestrials, so don't quote me on the exact ones, but I think it was grays that I was describing, he said. Other than that's the only time I've ever really dealt with anything extraterrestrial on that astral plane. And I just avoided them altogether. It's one of those that I was like, yeah, I don't know what this is. I'm not going to put myself in a situation like that, so I'll just avoid them. They avoided me, so it was all good.
Okay. Coop, I know you're more the extraterrestrial contact, no pun intended, for Forest Moon Paranormal. We only got about 4.5 minutes left here before we got to hop out for a break. But have you ever had or dealt with any scenarios like Samantha Mowat was talking last night about extraterrestrials, either benevolent or malevolent, coming into someone's home on a spiritual level and causing a haunting or something along those lines?
I haven't had any direct cases involving that, no. But, S4, we did our alien race series, and going by research, there are only 3 races that travel on the astral plane. I believe reptilians were one, and grays being another, and they are the 2 most common for abduction. Not saying there aren't others that do abduct, but they are the 2 more common that you hear about. And so for our team, and we are going to do some experimenting with both Bigfoot, with the possibility of Bigfoot being an interdimensional being. We're going to do some experimenting with the astral team seeing if we can detect Bigfoot on the astral in the areas that he spotted. We're also going to be working a lot more this year and probably into next year, because it's going to take some time getting some ideas together on dealing with extraterrestrials on the astral. Because I would love more than anything to find a way to stop abductions. That's one of my goals.
And I can understand that. But there's so much about the alien realm that we do not know, and what they are absolutely up to and how they can get to us in so many different ways, Eric. It's kind of interesting. Like when you hear someone like Samantha Mowat speak very openly and candidly about her abduction experiences, whether they are physical, whether they are on the spiritual plane, it seems like there's nothing an extraterrestrial can't do if it wants to get to you.
Absolutely. And yeah, I listened to last night's show, and you know, I'm torn, because you talk to abductees, and 99% of them are malevolent. They're negative experiences. They're not. So you know, I hear these positive experiences, and I have no doubt they're happening. And you know, there are positive alien races. There's no doubt about it. The Pleiadians, for one, and you know, it I don't know. And it makes you wonder, why don't the positive races, which we know they're at war with a lot of the negative ones, we hear about it all the time, but why isn't there a way the positive ones can stop them? You know, with all the technology the alien races have. And you're absolutely right. It's impossible, because if they want you, they're going to get you. Implants being one way.
That's because, my friend, America made a deal. You know that. You listen to this show enough. You know that.
I've done this. I've done it on S4. There's no doubt. Yeah, Eisenhower. You know, and it's all about greed and power. Greed and power. And like we were talking the other night on SOAR. It might have been S4. I can't remember which one. But yeah, and all the technology jumps, fiber optics and whatnot that came from it. But does the positive jumps outweigh the negative experiences? I don't think so. I think public safety and the experiences of the experiencer are more important than fiber optics. I can do without internet.
I do have to say this before we go to break. I'm pretty happy here. The flood in the Spaced Out Radio studio seems to be dissipating. You know what's happened here? You know what's happened here is we got literally a crap ton of snow that hit really hard. Well, it all piled up, and I'm not going to say that some of it's my fault with my snowblower, because I wouldn't do that. But it all piled up, and it's melting really, really fast, and it's screwing things up here around the old homestead of Uncle Jimbo's cabin. So I'm dodging water here. Not like pools and pools, but just little trickles of water. I think we may have got things up. But apparently, moments ago, my wife just told me that the entire snow build-up on the roof just came sliding down on the patio and everything. So it's like we're like a heat wave right now. Don't like it. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I'm your host, Dave Scott. We're going to get more into remote viewing with Forest Moon Paranormal's Eric Cooper, Bonnie Smith, and Tony Loki right after this, so stick around. We're going to learn more about this remote viewing stuff. I don't get it, but you know what? Apparently it's happening. People are doing it. We'll find out more right after this.
The SOR Sightlines is a place for you to find answers to your strange experiences. Hi there, this is Mike Schmidt. If you have had an encounter with ghosts, UFOs, Bigfoot, ETs, or anything else that doesn't make sense, head to spacedoutradio.com and file a Sightlines report. All information you give is 100% confidential, and I will personally help you find the answers you need. SOR Sightlines, your answers are a click away.
Have you got your Cosmic Passport? If you need one, tune in to Cosmic Passport on Spaced Out Weekend. This is Elizabeth Anglin, ET experiencer, spirit medium, and host of Cosmic Passport. Each weekend I'll be bringing you interviews and support from other paranormal experiencers. and the best in intuitive spiritual guidance from across the globe. It's all happening starting at 9 p.m. Pacific Time, midnight Eastern, on spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski, lead investigator with U4Cop. On the final Monday of every month, you can listen to me and host Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio's Strange Days. We're going to get to the heart of the matter when it comes to what's happening out there. People are seeing and experiencing things from ET contact to Bigfoot, and I want to hear about it. Your experiences are what we investigators need to help solve these unknown mysteries. So tune in at spacedoutradio.com to the final Monday of every month from Butch Witkowski's Strange Days.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle.
This is your medium, Joanna, from Spaced Out Weekend, 2 mediums and a large. I would love it if you would come and join us with host James Tyson every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. Together, we will take your calls and your questions live. Our goal is to provide you with a positive outlook on deep questions that you may have. Questions regarding love, relationships, money, or whatever else is on your mind. Come and check us out at spacedoutradio.com.
Have you checked out the SOR Spacewire at spacedoutradio.com yet? Every day we post the latest stories regarding the weird, strange, and completely unbelievable. From cryptid and UFO sightings to the conspiracy world, we tackle it all. Hi there, I'm Eric Markham, Space Out Radio's news director for the SOR Spacewire. And if you have a story, I want to hear it. Email me at news@spacedoutradio.com.
Patrolling the Pacific Northwest, we are always on the lookout for the strange and unassuming stories that real people are experiencing. Hi, I'm Vincent Zunza from Pacific North Weird. Me and Alexandra Sullivan have teamed to bring to you those odd stories that never seem to make it into the mainstream. Stories so weird that will leave you scratching your head wondering, is this real? It's as real as it gets with Pacific North Weird. You can watch our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Become more intimate and interactive with Spaced Out Radio. Join our Space Travelers Club with your new membership. For $5 a month, we'll provide you with special access to the website, monthly prize draws from books to psychic readings, along with monthly newsletter, private interviews, and more. Sign up today to be part of Spaced Out Radio's experience.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Don't have time to listen to Spaced Out Radio live? Wherever you are, the car, the office, the shower, or even if you're traveling, we're right here for you. Each Spaced Out Radio show can be found on iTunes, TuneIn, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. It's the perfect way for you to catch up on our shows. For more information, just head over to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and tune in to us today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, They don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
Did you know that Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi, it's James Tyson from Spaced Out Weekend. Every Saturday and Sunday night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, you can join me and my guests for some great chatter about what's going on out in the universe, or even in that dark part of the basement you really don't want to go back into. Well, let's find the answers to your experiences together. So come on up to Uncle Jimbo's cabin on the weekend. For more information, look us up at spacedoutradio.com.
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and hashtag Spaced Out Radio, and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show. Now, back to the program.
A child grew up too fast, went running wild. Now we don't know who to pray to anymore.
Welcome back to the final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Good to have you along for the ride. Tomorrow night on the show, we're going to get into Ascension, spiritual beings, Mandela Effect. A man known as Viking is going to join us 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time, right here at spacedoutradio.com. Want to thank everyone listening in on the United Public Radio Network live on 107.7 FM in New Orleans and over 160 countries around the world. Good to have you with us tonight. We want to thank everyone listening in live in Las Vegas. Renegade Talk Radio is where we are. Yes, the nighttime show of Sin City. And if you're listening in on Revolution Radio, remember the Double R Machine is a donation station financed by you, the valued listener. Head on over to freedomslips.com and donate today. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Winklepicker is your password. Winklepicker. That could go so many ways if I pronounce that wrong, but it's a good one. Bill sets a password each and every night on this show. Hopefully I earned a big mention and a bowl of the ice cream with his homemade maple syrup all the way from Ontario. That would be good. Makes my mouth water. If you want to follow us on social media, you can do so on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio as well if you want to connect with me live during the show. It's right in front of me on my screen. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. Tune us in on TuneIn. Download this show and others on iTunes. I just found out on an email moments ago we are also now on TalkStream Live. So you could tune us in there as well. And, of course, our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including joining the SOR Space Travelers Club for $5 a month. Astral travel, remote viewing is the big topic of the night here on Spaced Out Radio with the team from Forest Moon Paranormal, Eric Cooper, Bonnie Smith, Tony Loki. Everyone, thank you so much, and welcome back.
Well, great being here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's good to have you all with us. And one of the things that I want to get to right off the bat is a question out of Revolution Radio. This one comes from Man Olive. He is asking, what do these spirits do? Do they hear them? Like, when you're communicating with them, and Tony, I'll ask you this. When you're communicating with the spirits, do you hear them in your brain, or is it the voice you hear talking to them out loud?
I can hear them just like me and you are having a conversation right now. I'm going to say it's different for each person, though. I've heard some people say they can only hear them telepathically, essentially. Every person is different. Just like every person sees the astral world different. Some people see it black and white, some see it in color. I mean, it's no different than the way we see the physical world. Some people need glasses, some don't. Way we communicate, same thing.
I asked Bonnie this while you were busy working. When you go into a home on an astral level, what do you see?
I'm on fortunate ones. I see stuff in full color. I can go into some details. It's almost just like walking in someone's home. I can see most stuff. Every now and then, depends on certain groups have different ways of shielding. So, I mean, if their shields are real good and they didn't lower them before we got there, sometimes it's a little more difficult to see stuff. But for the most part, I can just see stuff as normal.
That has to be a little intimidating. It really does.
It's a little weird. Sometimes.
How do you deal with it on a personal level, Tony?
What do you mean on a personal level?
Well, I know with myself, okay, when I am doing an investigation or if I'm in contact with extraterrestrials or something, I'm picking off that energy. I'm feeding off of it. Usually I get tired, my neck will get sore. If I'm channeling, I sometimes feel sick. Do you have any side effects that happen to you?
Every now and then, depends on the location, how far it is. Sometimes I'll feel tired afterwards. I usually don't get too much other side effects. Once again, it goes back to shielding. How well you can shield and protect yourself helps tremendously. I check my shields daily. I keep them up. And as long as they're good, usually I don't have too much side effects, except for feeling drained sometimes. Depends, how strong them shields are working.
So when you put yourself into a protection, for a lot of people, especially a lot of other investigators out there, they don't bother doing that. What kind of protection do you use for yourself? And how important is it for all investigators to do that?
I think all investigators should do some form of shielding, because not only you can pick up on not only the spirit's energy, but you can pick up people's energy from right there. It could essentially bleed over and affect you. So if you're shielding, hopefully it stops it. I like doing pretty much a 3-layer shield. First layer is going to be pretty much like an energy. I ask my deities to help me, protect me with the energy. Next layer is going to be, I pretty much use a mirror type, so if stuff's directed at me, hopefully the mirror is strong enough to send it back at the caster or at the entity. And then the third one's a brick wall. So they have to get through the brick wall, then through the mirror, then through the shield to get to me. And that's worked. I've used that over 10 years now, and it's worked almost flawlessly.
Bonnie, how about yourself? What do you use for protection when you were going into a paranormal?
With, I do blocking, and I do shielding with energy and fire at times. Then like a steel sort of substance to help block it off, But I'm still getting better and better at shielding. They'll test me. Some Jamie will come and see how things are. If I'm doing good, and check me out. So, yeah, those are the things I use, and I use things around my home too for protection and not allow. I cut ties when I leave, so nothing hitchhikes home with me, and that sort of thing. Yeah,
Also,
the shielding is real important.
Also, something else that helps a lot, not only with shielding, but also before I come back, I always make sure I ground and double check myself for attachments. I have a wife and kid at home. I don't want to bring anything back to them, essentially. So, shielding is great. Also, grounding, and just check yourself over, make sure nothing's attached itself to you.
I was actually just going to ask that about attachments in regards to, did you have to learn the hard way? Tony, let's start with you on that.
Me personally, I didn't have to learn the hard way. It's just my first teacher, that I was taught, Wiccan, whenever you do a circle, you always close it out and you always check yourself over. That's something I've always done, and it's something I still do to this day. And You know, if anyone asks me, even in our training, our astral training, that's one thing we teach is shielding, you know, cleansing and grounding. So it's a big part of it.
How about you, Bonnie? Have you ever had an attachment?
I don't think I've brought anything home since I've been doing this, but before I knew what I was doing, I was trying to prove I wasn't insane for seeing all these things, so I was doing some novice and base investigations and stuff. Then I got some attachments, and things would happen, and I didn't know why, and the reason was that I was doing something without, in the blind, basically, at that time. I didn't have the education and knowledge, but I had the interest, you know. But yes, I've had attachments. I've had some attachments since I've been on the team. They found one that had been attached for like a long time. Jamie did, and got rid of it. Been hiding there, cloaked really well. So things can be there and even hide from team members for a period of time, because that was a little while after I was on the team. It was something that I had gotten before I got on the team, but she was able to take care of that. And it feels a lot better when they get rid of them, trust me. They do bring you down, you know, and after astral, you know, sometimes I'm like energized, sometimes I'm drained. It just depends on the case and what you're doing and how it affects you, you know. With me, grounding is a big part of it, you know. I used to feel like I feel kind of weird after astral in the beginning, and Richard would make me ground and ground and ground. You know, that's extremely important.
And Coop, on the education level, when you get people talking to you, how important or how long is that conversation you have with them about taking care of themselves?
It depends on the individual. I mean, some grasp it. Some of them already, you know, have basic education. So it goes. That conversation goes on that level. I also have files, you know, on basic shielding techniques, basic grounding techniques and whatnot that I email them or send to them. And we go over it, and then we kind of go over a discussion of a step-by-step of how you properly shield. Which the basic shielding, I'll go over real quick. You kind of picture an energy bubble around you, and you push it out. Let's see, to the distance you want. Kind of like people say, you're in my personal bubble. You know, kind of like that. And then you just build it, and you work on it for a period of time. And then, like Bonnie was saying, yeah, and then you have somebody test it. But the basic education can go anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours.
When you are discussing with newbies, or even people who've been in a while, that don't shield, what is your reaction to them doing that without any type of protection whatsoever? Eric?
Oh, I'm thinking. Well, you've got, and you can only help them if they want the help. To be honest with you, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So it depends on how willing to accept that they need shielding or protection. Because some of them just think that, you know, you have the skeptics, and they just think, let's see, they just think it's a one-time. On this one. Well, they just think it's a one-time deal, and they don't need the help. Go ahead, Tony.
I've actually dealt with one person. He had ego essentially that he couldn't be touched. Anything that had natural, he couldn't bring back with him. And that's what he ran on. And me and him talked a little bit. You know, I said, hey, and I explained what shielding was. He's like, oh, no, I don't need that. Nothing can get to me. I'm like, okay, dude, you know, do it the way you want. Then a couple months later, he's like, hey, I need your help. He explained everything. I said, did you try shielding? Did you try grounding? No, I didn't do any of that. I said, let's start there. And then if you're still having issues, I'll come check you out, make sure nothing's attached. He shielded, he grounded. 20 minutes later, he's like, oh my God, it feels like a weight was lifted off my chest. I said, that's all it takes. So I've dealt with that. Well, dealt with one person that was his thinking. Oh, nothing can harm me. I'm invincible. We're not invincible. We're human.
And let me explain something, Dave. Shielding and grounding isn't just paranormal. It's not just paranormal protection. It's actually a pagan basic. All pagans that, come into paganism as a belief learn shielding and grounding as part of their pagan tradition. Now, that's just something that's normal for our religious belief. That's why it's hard to explain, but the paranormal for us in our religion is normal. So I even get asked by pagans when I do our promos. I get asked by pagans, well, why do we need a paranormal group? All pagans should already know this. I'm like, well, yeah, all pagans should, but we even have newbies that might do a ritual or something, and they'll have a spirit come in, and it's not something they're trained on how to respond to, and that's where we come in. But non-pagans, it doesn't matter what your religion is, but shielding and grounding is essential for our practice, essentially. So when I say shielding and grounding, yeah, that's just normal.
Let's switch over to remote viewing, and Tony, I'm going to bring you in on this. For a lot of people who don't understand astral travel and remote viewing, what is the biggest difference?
Remote viewing is, and I know they've used it time to time to find missing persons. They can see locations and stuff. Where astral travel, you're actually going to the location. You can actually do stuff at the location. Where remote viewing, in my opinion, is you're just looking at it. You can't interact with stuff there. But astral travel, you can go there. You can see stuff that's on the grounds, like Eric said, in the first hour, when we have the QRF team go in, he'll send the astral in to see what we're getting into. Remote viewing may be able to tell them what we're getting into. If I'm there and I notice it's something way too dangerous for a physical team to go in there, I might deal with it right then and there. And then let Eric know, hey, here's what happened. Remote viewing could just tell him, hey, this is what you're getting into. I can actually go there and go, hey, this is what you could have gotten into, but I took care of it.
When you are getting ready to remote view, do you go through the same types of rituals, systems, meditation in order to specifically remote view or astral travel, or is it different?
I'm to the point. It's just easier for me to go astral instead of remote viewing. I hardly ever do it anymore. Astral travel has pretty much become my bread and butter, the go-to. But it's still the same thing. I know everyone does a little bit different. Me personally, I like having on YouTube. There's a hour and 7 minutes or 11 minutes of thunderstorm music. When I first started off, that was that's what I had to use to get to astral. Now I can go there without that, but still nice to listen to every now and then just to relax.
Eric has a couple of questions. This one will start with you, Tony. Can anyone learn to astral project or remote view?
I believe everyone could, except for Eric. He has certain things blocking him, which me and him have talked about in depth. But I think everyone can. I mean, it's almost like any other ability. Driving a car, riding a bike, shooting a gun, baking a cake. You just got to take practice. You got to take time to learn it. Some people, it happens a lot quicker than others. Others, they may have to try really hard. They may not be naturally gifted, but I think they could.
What do you think, Bonnie?
I don't know. I don't know if everyone can do it. I think they could. I think everyone has abilities. They just may not be aware of them or awakened to them, at that level, or they're not, belief systems like, I've only been taken not quite a year yet. So I'm learning a lot more. I'm new, very new to it. And I don't know. I don't know myself on that, being new.
Eric, I'm going to give you a question from Eric Markham here. He is asking, do you think having no religious beliefs makes a person more susceptible to attack?
Let's see. Having no religious beliefs, I believe it can. I honestly, I believe it depends more on attitude than it does your religious beliefs, because negativity draws it in. If you're a negative person, it doesn't matter your religious belief, whether you're religious or not. If you're a negative person, you're going to bring it in. If you're a positive person, you bring in positivity. And I stand by that. I don't think it really matters. An atheist, I've seen positive atheists. They don't have any issues. The same negative atheist, they're going to bring in negativity. I think that's what draws it in, more than your spirituality.
Bonnie, what's your thoughts on that?
I think I agree with Eric on that. The negativity. I don't think that it's that religious or non-religious people are more susceptible because of that reason.
And how about you, Tony?
I'm going to kind of agree, but disagree a little bit. We've dealt with a lot of cases where people decided to mess around with certain tools of their religion and, maybe drawn something to them. To whereas, say, like an atheist, someone with no religion, they wouldn't even be messing with, them tools. They may not be doing a circle trying to call whoever, whereas someone else does, and they draw in something negative. So they don't have the intent to try to contact something supernatural.
So getting to remote viewing, it was supposedly created by the military to spy on their enemies, Russia being the big one during the Cold War. Any of the training that you received on that, is it along the same lines as what they were using during the military Cold War times, Tony?
I really haven't looked into their training that much, to be honest. I know we have our own actual group set up, our actual training group. Richard heads up. But I think we put that together more ourselves than we're taken from anything else.
So if you could do me a favor for the sake of our audience, take us through a step-by-step process. Obviously it takes time more than just words, but if you could take us through a process of what it's like to train as a remote viewer. What's it like?
Could I interject real quick?
Is this you or your beard?
It's my beard. We have about a 50% drop rate. We'll start off with 10 students in our school. And actually, no, it's more like a 70% drop rate, because we'll have about 10 students to start off, and this is just an example. And we might get 3 that'll actually go through the entire course. Is that sound about right, Tony?
Yeah, a lot of them, they'll say they're starting the class, they're all pumped up for it. Some will, personal stuff will come along, they have to drop it. Others will be like, this is a lot more difficult than what I thought, or I don't have enough time to put into it. Step-by-step training, we start off with simple basics, just going outside your body, stay in your room, but just go outside your body. And then we progress from there, going farther and farther. And one of our final challenges is, we'll they'll be with either me, Jamie, or Richard, one of our senior members that if anything bad did happen, we could step in and protect them. But we'll take them to, a hot spot, and we'll have them, see what they see. They may not necessarily have to do anything combat related, but they need to get used to seeing entities and dealing with entities. It's probably, depending, in each class is not the same length time. We have some people that just pick it up real quick. I think our quickest class has been about 5 or 6 weeks, but we've had others take 8 to 9. If someone's almost there, but they're just not quite grasping it, we may take a couple extra weeks with them to help them get to that point. We've had to turn down a couple because we felt that they may harm themselves doing this because they weren't as skilled as they need to be, and they could always retry the class. But we're here to help the client, and we don't want our members to endanger themselves, if that makes sense. So we make sure they're trained and properly up to our standards before we send them in on any actual cases.
So when you are choosing people to go through these classes, what are you looking for in the people?
We take everyone. You let us know you're interested. We will, we'll take you in. We've had people that have done it before. We've had people that have never even remotely tried this. There's no set standard, Some people may be able to run right off the bat. Others may walk. We're willing to try to teach everyone.
How stressful is it to teach that, though?
I'll probably say no more than what a teacher has to deal with middle school or high school kids. Some people, we can, like Eric said, we can lead them to water. We can lead a horse to water, but not make them drink. Some people, we can show them everything, and they just can't quite grasp it. I mean, the potential's there, but I don't know. Some people just block themselves. They can do it, but something inside them is blocking themselves. They're their own biggest challenge. It can be kind of stressful with those ones.
Okay. When you are doing a remote viewing session, how would a case work differently in the paranormal between a remote viewing session and what you're doing astral traveling?
Like I said, remote viewing, I may tell Eric, hey, you got 6 entities in there, whereas, astral travel, I could go, hey, Eric, there's 6 entities here. One of them may not be unsafe, so, we help them move on for whatever reason. But, you still have 5 entities there now. Or remote viewing be like, hey, Eric, you may have one that's going to give you a hard time, but there's 6 entities. 5 of them are pretty peaceful. You don't need to worry about them.
Eric, what do you think about the whole astral travel versus remote viewing? What do you have more confidence in?
Astral, hands down, because, if I've got those same 5 entities and I'm walking into it and they're not as peaceful as we thought they were, I'd rather have Tony remove them than us walking into it. So hands down, astral.
Is it that heavy of a subject for a lot of people to take?
I think it is, because I think there's a lot of skepticism in that, and there's a lot of skepticism in what we do, because, you got people that, I don't believe you can do that. You know what? Talk to our clients, and I bet you hear otherwise. But is it heavy? Yeah, I think it's awesome what we do, just because we actually get the job done versus, we actually had a client that had been dealing with terror. We're talking terror as in him and his girlfriend lived in a hotel most of the time. They had the church come in. They had evangelical associations come in. They had a Native American shaman come in. They had paranormal groups come in. Nobody could help these people. And we went in and accomplished in 3 days securing the environment before we removed it. And you know, so I have no doubt about what we do.
Eric has a question in the chat room, and Bonnie, we'll start with you on this one. Have you ever had a case where one negative entity has been holding other entities in place?
Yes, we have. We had one recently. It was actually the angry man scenario, and there was several people there that were scared of him that had passed. Yes, they can get in the way of them. I don't know if they're scared of them. I think they are scared of them. They bully them around, sort of, you know, the more docile type earthbound spirit and they can be very rude and loud and nasty and bang on things and be mean, you know, downright mean. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Tony? Have you had that experience?
I've actually dealt with a couple different cases where, you know, we'd go in there and there'd be 5 or 6, you know, there'd be a few entities there, and there's one that you could just tell is a bad entity. And the other entities were pretty much getting bullied into helping him out. If you don't help me out, help that entity out, he's going to make, you know, they're to stay there the worst one possible. So they were helping out, and they even, you know, told me this, hey, the only reason we did anything is because he threatened us. So, and I, you know, I told them, I said, okay, here's the deal we're going to make. I removed this entity. You guys knock your stuff off, and you guys go about being peaceful. You guys won't have to deal with us again. If you guys keep it up, though, then I'm going to be back, and you're not going to like the outcome. And remove the entity. I haven't been back there. Haven't had any complaints, nothing. So, I mean, there's bullying even in the astral world, essentially.
Question from Joe in the SOR Space Travelers Club. He is asking, and Tony, we'll start with you on this one. Can astral travel be a bad thing for people that are afraid of heights?
No, I am definitely scared of heights. Back when I was in the Army, you have to rappel off a 60 to 100-foot rappel tower. And as soon as I got over, my drill sergeants were like, oh, the cord's not tied right, get down as quick as you can. And I dropped as fast as I could to get to the ground because I'm scared of heights bigger than anything. You know, drill sergeants were laughing because it was tied correctly. They wouldn't let me go over without it. And they had me do it a couple more times. But astral travel, I've never had an issue with heights. I'm even claustrophobic. I've never had an issue with claustrophobia in the astral world either.
How about you, Bonnie?
No, I'm scared of heights myself, but I don't feel any fear of the height or anything in the astral plane. I don't like to fly. I mean, I do it because I have to sometimes, but I don't like to fly in a plane. I don't like heights particularly, but I don't have any problem in the astral plane when I'm flying or doing anything like that. It doesn't scare me at all.
Mm-hmm. Eric?
The heights part.
What do you think?
I have no idea. I don't astral.
Well, you've jumped out of enough planes back in the day.
Oh, I've never jumped out of an airplane. Yeah. I have no fear of heights, though.
At hashtag Spaced Out Radio on Twitter, John is asking, if you and someone you don't know are remote viewing or astral traveling the same area, are you aware of each other? And Tony, we'll start with you on that one.
Yeah, we're aware of each other. We send people in. I've never met any of my team in person. I've never even met Eric in person. I've known him, you know, for a long time. I've never met him in person though. But say like me and Bonnie, we're going there. It's almost like sensing their energy, or you can see them. I know where they are. You know, I can tell her, hey, go down the hallway, go to the last room on the right, and I can see her going down the hallway, last room on the right. So, yes, you can see each other. You can communicate, everything.
Yep.
What's that like to run into another astral traveler?
For me, I just, you know, I treat everything as a threat if I don't know who they are. It's the military in me. You know, if I'm walking by people, you know, you could say almost kind of paranoid. You know, I'm always assessing everyone I see. You know, are they a threat, not a threat? You know, what's their body language? So come on the astral world, same thing. You know, is this a threat? You know, is this something, you know, trying to look human, but it's not? You know, there's some telltale signs there. Bonnie?
Same thing here. I haven't ran into a lot of other astral people while I'm out astraling besides the people that at Forest Moon. One time I did have an episode where I was astraling by myself and a friend that I know was around, and I felt like it was very new for me, and I saw this like tunnel with people at the end of it that I wanted to check out. It seemed very interesting to me, you know, and then as I started to go to the tunnel, a rose bush, like a black rose bush, popped up like out of the ground, out of the rock, you know, and I thought, that is so neat, you know, and I went to touch it, and boom, this person grabbed me and just was like pulling me way away, and as they pulled me away, some kind of serpent came up in there. I have no idea exactly what it was. That's the only other time, and I didn't know that person was watching me at the time that I was there, but that kind of surprised me. That's the only other time I ran into people, yet other remote viewers or astral projection people, when I've been doing it myself as a team, we're together, we go to a certain place, you know, come back. But that was the one instance so far that when I ran into somebody else, and they kind of saved me from trouble, I think.
So when you run into someone on the astral plane, do you talk to them? Do you say, hey, what are you doing here right now? What are you up to? Tony?
Me personally, I try not to talk to them. If I go astral, I'm going for a specific purpose. If I'm going to, say, a scene, you know, and I see someone else there astral, I'm going to ask them, hey, what are you doing here? Because they could be what's causing the issue. So it depends on the scene, that I would say, for me.
Have you ever had a fellow astral traveler block you from what you're trying to accomplish?
I've never had anyone try to block me astrally. Bonnie?
I don't think what was that? I couldn't hear you very well just now. I heard the question, but no, I haven't had any others block me that I know of. No.
How about you, Tony? Have you...
I don't think I've ever had anyone try to block me. I don't know for whatever reason, but
Have you ever then heard of that happening?
I actually haven't even heard of it happening. No one on my team has reported it, and the other astral team I talked to, I've never heard of that either.
Eric has a question here, and Tony, will start with you on this one. Can the astral body be hurt? And what does that do to the physical body?
The astral body can be hurt, but not the way you guys are thinking, where, you know, say if I get cut in the astral world, I'm not cut in the real world. But, you know, it could, you won't physically see a cut, but, you know, I've come back with bruises and scrapes to where I didn't physically show it, but I felt it. Bonnie?
I haven't got any bruises or marks, not since I've been astraling. I haven't. I did before I knew how to defend myself and protect myself. Fairly often I would get things like that, would show up scratches, different odd things, but no.
Eric, have you ever heard of people being physically abused during an astral travel?
Yeah, and like Tony said, yeah, if you get hurt in the astral, it can cause marks on your physical body. I have heard of that. Within our team, yeah, we have had team members come back with aches and pains, that kind of thing, but bleeding, that kind of thing, no.
Mm-hmm. Tony, what's the difference between remote viewing and channeling? Or astral and channeling?
What do they mean channeling?
Do we still have Tony?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can.
Okay, what do you mean channeling?
Well, a lot of people will use channeling to travel elsewhere. Okay, whether they're channeling spirit, whether they're channeling extraterrestrials.
I'm not sure on that one, to be honest.
Okay.
Because I've never channeled.
Right, and to my knowledge, channeling is where an entity comes into you to communicate, whereas remote viewing, you're leaving your own body. I believe that's where the difference is.
Yeah, that's my definition of channeling. Where someone channels a spirit to maybe get answers. I've never seen anyone travel by channeling, though. I think that's where I was confused on it.
Not a problem. Not a problem. When you are using a remote view session, have you ever traveled or taken yourself into a cryptid area, say looking for Bigfoot or Dogman?
Me personally, I haven't yet, but like Eric said, we are going to attempt something to see if maybe the Bigfoot is, an astral entity, or maybe how he escaped so quick as he can maybe jump into the astral realm, take his physical body into the astral realm. So that's something we are looking into, actually.
How exciting will that be? It'll be quite different for you from what you're used to.
As long as I don't, anger it and it come after me, it would be really exciting. If not, I'm going to be running.
And then we'll be calling Dave. Dave, they are interdimensional.
Oh, of course they are. Of course they are. How could they not be?
Good.
You know what I'm saying? When you are looking into so many different facets that you guys are doing, often tonight we've heard the word combat, Eric. Now, when I think of the word combat, I'm thinking combat on a military scale. But you guys are using the word combat quite a bit here. So I'm just curious, why go to such an in-depth description?
Tony would be the best one to ask that one. As far as combat, yeah, they do go into battle to an extent with some of the more malevolent entities. You're not, Tony? And he may
have had
to step away. Yeah, and when he's describing his astral sword, for example, they do go into a kind of a combative mode, to where what you're thinking of as combat is combat.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So essentially, think of it like this: if you get two animals going into territory, the stronger one's going to be able to stay in that territory. It'll push the other one out. So, I mean, combat's the same way we think, and the reason why we do it, we're pretty much telling this entity, hey, this area is protected by us now. You need to leave these people alone or leave it all together. And, combat can be, depending on the entity, it could be multiple different things.
Mm-hmm. So describe combat with a spirit for us.
It could be, depending on the spirit. Some of them may, challenge combat by maybe like a riddle, essentially. Strongest mind, strongest will wins. Some like to get physical though. Astrophysical, get up in your face and try to push you out of the area. You got to push back. You got to push back harder.
I can totally understand that. Bonnie, what's it like the first time you had combat with a spirit?
It was interesting. It was one where I think Tony might have been on that one too. Richard was there. Quite a few of us. We had one that we had to all attack, and we had different areas. Someone took the head. I had the back. Someone had this. And we literally attacked it. With our weapons, and fought it until it was gone. I think it's one time he said, "Richard's still fighting it. It's gone." Something like that. Remember that one, Tony? That was the first one I think I had combat with. And I think I stayed up for 2 days. It really charged me up. That part of it does sometimes. I'm learning how to control those energies and bring them down and be able to sleep. Sometimes I am drained though. We've had some combat lately a few times. And different things happen with different entities, what we have to do.
Eric, do you like the terminology combat?
I do. It's what I'm used to. Not the physical hand-to-hand. I mean, we've all been trained on hand-to-hand, literally, physically. It's what we're trained in the Army. But, yeah. I guess I'm comfortable with it. Yeah.
Interesting question coming from #SpacedOutRadio from John. Are animals or children aware of when you astral travel to them or remote view them? Bonnie, let's start with you on that one.
Not to my knowledge. I haven't seen any recognition. Even now, animals sometimes are traumatized, and I try to work, especially with cats. I do a lot with them. They know I'm there. The kids I haven't seen any kids that could recognize me there. Like, that they knew I was there when we were working with them or shielding them or helping them in any way. But animals tend to know. I mean, they don't react I think they react more to spirits. I might not have the knowledge to answer this question, honestly, but I know that there have been times when we've been in and animals didn't pay me any attention. They acted like they didn't see me or I wasn't there, but then it just depends. If I try to make myself visible to them because they need to be calmed down or something's wrong, they need some healing because of what they've been through with what's going on in the home they're in.
One time I had an animal follow me all the way through the house. It pretty much knew it couldn't do anything to me, but it also knew, hey, it was letting its owner know, hey, someone's here. I don't know who the someone is. It's not the familiar people. So I think I've dealt with animals that I've known I was there.
So what is that like when an animal is following you around the house like that?
It was half pissed off, half curious, because it knew it couldn't get to me, but it knew I was there and I was invading its territory. I mean, they're going into someone's house. His job is to protect this house. He wasn't the happiest camper with me.
Mm-hmm. I bet. I'm just surprised animals would be able to pick that up.
I've only seen it in dogs, in all honesty.
So not cats?
Well, maybe they realize it, but they're just too lazy to even move or worry about me.
They're like me, though.
Bonnie, have you been followed around by any animals?
No, not really. Not followed like he's talking about. No. I usually go to them, the animals, myself, and sometimes they know. It seems like the cats pick me up better. I don't know. Maybe I'm part cat or something, but they seem to pick me up. The cats more, and we seem to have a lot of cat cases lately that they pick up on me being there. Not all of them, no, but some do. Especially if I want them to, I try to make it where I'm communicating with them somehow. They sometimes seem to know that I'm there and seem more calmer, less scared. I think they pick up on sometimes the energy when things are going on. We're doing the work that we're doing too, the animals.
Right. What else has picked you up?
Spirits. Entities.
What about other people? What about other people who may not know what's going on in the house? Have you ever been picked up by a person?
Not that I know of. Not like they might feel our energy, like Tony said earlier. They know that sometimes our energy's there and things are happening, but I've never had them, speak to me when I'm doing things around them, like talk to me.
Uh-huh.
Like, I see you here, and what are you doing, or thank you, or no. Yeah, I don't hear them do that, no. No humans.
And quite honestly, when we have clients that say they are gifted in any way, shape, or form, I do stress to them that they're good. They obviously feel the spirits that they're calling us about. But I let them know the astral team is going to be there, and you will feel an extra presence in your home because it's the astral team. So they may not feel or see the astral team there, but sometimes they do comment that they do feel their energy. So that does happen on occasion.
Right. That's pretty intense stuff. Have you ever, Tony, taken your remote viewing and maybe looked to see what was on the moon or what was on Mars?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I've never, like I said, I've never actually left Earth. Maybe it's something I'm going to try here in the future. But, we stay so busy with cases right now, I don't have time to.
How many cases a month are you guys working on?
Probably 30 to 40 minimum.
Yeah, that's about accurate because, we do have like 4 to 5 cases a day quite often.
That many?
Yeah.
And Eric will send us a message, hey, I need you to go look at this. So, I'll just go take a look at it. Or he may go, hey, this is a whole team mission, and I'll decide what team I need to send. I could either send Jamie's team or Richard's team.
How long does the average case last?
Minimum time is usually hour and a half to 2 hours. Maximum time we've gone 3, like he said, 3 to 4 days, but we're not there 3 to 4 days. Don't think of that. We'll go do small steps, first clear up the property, then, secure it. Next day, help calm anything. Next day, finish up. So.
Well, that's not too long. I thought it was like days upon days of adventure.
No.
Well, that would be
cases
two car teams.
Yeah, cases actually go fairly. They go fairly quick, but then we have another mission that pops up, and sometimes 2 to 3 missions at a time that pop up, and then we have to kind of, like I said earlier in the show, triage it, figure out which is the most urgent, and step up from there.
I hear you. Bonnie, Tony, and Coop, we only got about 45 seconds left with you. Coop, give us a rundown where people can find more information about Forest Moon Paranormal or get in touch with you in case they have a case that they'd like you to look over.
Real easy. Just go on Facebook and punch in Forest Moon Paranormal. Go for the group, not the page, because we are active every day on the group. And I mean active. We're like daily on the group. And then I can usually, if you send me a message directly on Facebook, it goes straight to my cell phone. So if it's an urgent case, I get it quick. And within 5-10 minutes, I'm talking to you. That's how fast we react. And you're talking to one of our ASSL team within 15-20 minutes if you're actually on Facebook. So that is actually how fast we go.
Excellent. Tony, Bonnie, and Eric, thank you so much for being on Space Out Radio tonight. You guys all hold on. I'm going to wrap this thing up. If you're listening in on the Space Out Radio side, you are hearing Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL, formerly of Guns N' Roses, currently of Art of Anarchy. Bumblefoot runs us into each show and takes us out every single night. Tomorrow night on the show, Viking is going to join us, Mandela Effect, Spiritual Ascension. We'll get into some aliens, too, because you know how much I love my aliens. That is tomorrow night on the show, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time at spacedoutradio.com. We got some changes coming to the website here very, very soon. I hope you do check them out. We're going to be expanding our news source here. Everett Thiemer, Eric Markham, Serena Drakis, and more are going to be pumping out some serious stories coming on up. I hope you check it out. Remember, you can follow me on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. Tune us in on TuneIn. Download this show and others on iTunes. We are now on TalkStream Live as of tonight. It's fantastic. We're also going to be elsewhere as well. We are expanding. We are getting bigger, better. It's all about you guys helping us out as an audience. Continue your great work, spreading the word. Thank you very much, everyone. We'll talk to you in 21 hours from now. Have a good one.